Yes, yes. হ্যাঁ, কৃষ্ণ কুমার কি বলছেন?
না বলছি আমরা প্রোগ্রাম
হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ। আসলে আপনি ভালো আছেন তো?
বলছি মহারাজ আপনার ফেভারিট ঠিক আছে মহারাজ
হ্যাঁ, আমাদের তো এখন আম, বন্ধ চলছে অনেকদিন ধরে। এই গত বছর থেকেই বাইরের ক্লাস টাস কিছু হচ্ছে না, অনলাইন, সবকিছু অনলাইন হচ্ছে। রাইট।
সুমন মহারাজ এসছে। সুমন মহারাজ
এখন
ও আরে বাবা আরে আহ, বিদ্যামিত্রা বিদ্যামৃতানন্দ বিদ্যামৃতানন্দ ও আইসি। আমি নতুন বেশি চিনতে পারিনি। হ্যাঁ,
দেখছেন মানে সন্ন্যাসের। হ্যাঁ,
সন্ন্যাসী করে দেখেছি
না না দেখা
দেখা হয়নি। হ্যাঁ,
লাস্ট এসেছিলেন মানে
আমি লাস্ট এসেছিলাম অল্প কয়েকদিনের জন্য, ইন জানুয়ারি 2018। অল্প কয়েকদিনের জন্য, 10-12 দিনের জন্য এসেছিলাম। তারপরে আর আসা হয়নি, মানে 3 বছর, প্রায় 4 বছর হয়ে গেল আর কি।
হ্যাঁ তখন ইউ ডেলিভার লেকচার ইন আওয়ার কলেজ অন সিস্টার নিবেদিতা
রাইট, রাইট। হ্যাঁ, হ্যাঁ, তখন এসেছিলাম।
আমাদের মনে হয় 18তে সন্ন্যাস হয়েছিল মানে
18তে সন্ন্যাস হয়েছে। আমি জাস্ট 2 মাসে মিস করেছি, মানে তার 2 মাস পরেই হয়েছে। আপনি কি শিক্ষণ মন্দিরে আছেন?
হ্যাঁ হি ইজ ভাইস প্রিন্সিপাল মহারাজ
ও
মহারাজ,
আচ্ছা।
আপনি বলবেন তোমার করতে গেছি
আর দীপাঞ্জন মহারাজ ইজ আওয়ার কর্ণাটক বিদ্যালয়
ওয়ান্ডারফুল, ওয়ান্ডারফুল।
নাও শিক্ষা মন্দির মহারাজ there are 6 sadhus
Oh, who else is there?
one Kaushik Maharaj he looks after our hostel
Kaushik Maharaj.
Kaushik Maharaj he is taken and Suhas Maharaj you know after 10 years he has also hosted Shikshan Mandir and another Brahmachari is there
সুভাষ মহারাজ is there.
Suhas Maharaj and the commissioner one Brahmachari Maharaj Sobhu Maharaj
I see. Wonderful to know. Wonderful to know. I had gone to our Vedanta Society in Hollywood a few weeks ago, and 5 new brahmacharis have joined there. 5 young men, all Americans from boys from this country. Wonderful to know.
Alumni Association channel Safar Prati.
Right, right. It's on YouTube.
It's a YouTube. It is operating since last October.
Right, right. Already you have got a number of very good videos. I'm seeing it on the in my computer now.
We are organizing quite regularly these spiritual lectures and special lectures on research topics and online coaching classes for young students.
Wonderful,
Through this channel.
wonderful. So this talk will it be
Yes, in the YouTube.
later on? It will be uploaded.
No. Live streaming. It is presently it is live.
Oh, it's going to be live. Oh, when the talk starts, yes.
মহারাজ can I start?
Yes, yes. Please go ahead.
Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishna. Salutations to Sri Ramakrishna. Good evening to you all who are present in this program, and good morning to you all who are from abroad, who are from United States of America. At the outset, on behalf of Ramakrishna Mission Shikshan Mandira and Shikshan Mandira Alumni Association, I would like to offer our collective pranams to the speaker of today's program, Minister in charge of the Vedanta Society of New York, revered Srimad Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj. Maharaji pranams. Of late, Shikshan Mandira Alumni Association, in collaboration with Ramakrishna Mission Shikshan Mandira, an autonomous postgraduate teacher education college situated just beside the Belur Math, has been organizing spiritual discourses twice in a month. And today we have one such program, and we are very happy that Maharaji has consented to deliver a speech in spite of his busy schedule. Although owing to his global popularity as an orator, Maharajji really doesn't need any such introduction. I would like to share a few things. Following his admirable academic career, Maharajji has joined Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission in the year 1994 in Ramakrishna Mission Vidyapit, Devghar, India, where he was the vice principal of the esteemed higher secondary school. Afterwards, he has served the Ramakrishna order in various capacities. Although he is very popular and special to all in general, but he is extremely special in particular to all who belong to Shikshan Mandira family, because he was the very first monastic principal of our college. And now officially he is ex, but we truly believe that he was, is, and always will be a part and parcel guardian angel of this institution. Revered Maharajji was also the very first registrar of the then Vivekananda University. Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj was very popular, literally very, very popular. Acharya, teacher of Brahmachari Prashikhan Kendra, Professionals Training Center, and like myself, like Swami Vidyamritanandaji, Vice Principal of our college, and many more.
And myself too. I was also student of Maharaj.
Oh, yes, yes. We all were fortunate enough to attend his classes during our Professionals Training Center days, and we shall cherish all those golden memories for the rest of our lives. And more importantly, what little Advaita Vedanta we understood. I am repeating again, what little Advaita Vedanta we understood, of course, intellectually and theoretically, it is because of revered Srimad Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, because of our beloved and revered Vishwarup Maharaj. In the year 2015, he has been posted to United States of America. First, he was assistant of the Vedanta Society of Southern California, and since January 6, 2017, he has been serving Vedanta Society of New York as its minister in charge. In addition to that, he has delivered spiritual speeches to many branch centers of Ramakrishna Order, many academic as well as religious institutions like Indian Institute of Mythologists, Shivananda Ashram, Jogari Street, Bahama. He has been Nagral Fellow for 2019-20 of the Harvard Divinity School, and the list goes on. We have been eagerly waiting for the speech. Maharaj will speak on the topic mental peace through Vedantic inquiry, which itself is a very relevant topic, especially during this time of pandemic. And before going to the main section, I would like to request Revered Srimad Swami Divyagunanandaji Maharaj to deliver welcome address. Maharajji, over to you.
Maharaj Pranam, we offer our reverential Pranam to Revered Maharaj. We have heard about Maharaj from Swami Ujjitanandaji Maharaj. Apart from that, I would like to add one more point that Maharaj is also an alumnus of this institution, Ramakrishna Mission Shiksha Mandir. What else to tell about Maharaj? You all know Maharaj, and our Devashriti from Calcutta University, he offered her program to you. He is there, joined in the program. She is there, and our staffs are there. Who else? Who has joined the program from India and abroad? We offer our namaskar and shraddha to all of them. We are all eagerly waiting to have an engaging session from Maharaj. So we would like to request Maharaj to start his speech.
Maharaj, the platform is yours.
Thank you so much for that very kind introduction. আমি তো ইংলিশেই বলবো তো?
Yes, Maharaj.
All right then. And it's like coming home to be with the Shikshan Mandir family, and so nice to see so many familiar faces. Not only the monks here, but I can see Gautam Babu, and then I just saw for one moment, I saw Hitashish Babu. There I can see Hitashish Babu, and I'm sure Satyajit Babu is there. Shiharan Babu is also there, I think. I saw him. And I'm sure many others are also there. We have quite a good audience here, large number of people, I think more than 140. My namaskars to all of them. Many of them I've known for many, many years. And some of them were my teachers. As Krishnendu Maharaj was saying, that as a brahmachari, I was studying B.Ed at the Shikhan Mandir. And Professor Gautam Banerjee was my teacher, Hitashish Babu, and a number of others. And then later we worked together in Shikhan Mandir for a few years. So it's really wonderful to see all such familiar and dear faces after so many years. One feels it's like a homecoming. I hope sometime in the near future, if I'm able to visit India, then I'll be able to visit Shikhan Mandir, of course.
Sure, sure.
All right. So I'll talk for about 40 minutes or so, and then we can have a little bit of question answer. Will that do? Is that a good format?
Yes, yes, Mark. Yes, Mark.
All right then. And yes, some people are there from the university also, Calcutta University. I can see, yes.
Other university, University.
Yes, and other universities, yes. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityurma Amritam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness unto light, lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. The subject that we have today is peace of mind through Vedantic self-inquiry. So peace of mind is possibly the most valuable commodity today, especially because of the pandemic that we are all going through all over the world. See, suffering is inevitable in samsara. It comes to everybody. But usually what happens is people, individually or in families, face disease, old age, death. The world goes on. Some people somewhere are suffering all the time. Usually does not come to the notice of the world. Individually, we are left to our own suffering. But when something like this happens, a pandemic which sweeps across the globe, then all people, whether it is in Kolkata or in New York, we are faced with the same kind of suffering. Last year here in New York, it was the worst situation in the whole world. You may know that the maximum amount of infections, deaths. I remember at that time last year, the number of COVID-related deaths in India was around 1,000 in the whole of India. And here in New York alone, daily, the COVID-related deaths were about 1,000. So whether it is in India or in the United States, all over the world, the same kind of suffering people are facing. Even if one does not directly face death or disease, still the effects of the lockdown. Here in New York, people live in little apartments, small apartments. So just imagine, husband and wife both are working from home, one whole year, unable to go out. Children are not going to school. They're staying in the same small 1 or 2 rooms. And on top of that, there will be one dog also. So all of that put together and unable to go out. You have to live together like that so that creates a lot of stress, a lot of tension, and it builds up without any chance at dissipating. What can spiritual life bring to the table? How can spirituality help? Regarding this, I think a couple of years back, I heard a wonderful talk by Professor Arindam Chakraborty, who has been teaching Indian philosophy at the University of Hawaii for many, many years. He is a brilliant student from Calcutta University. So Arindam Babu was here in New York for a couple of years, teaching at Stony Brook University. And in one of his lectures, which I attended in person, He started the talk by um, sharing a teaching of the Buddha. Bhagavan Buddha is telling us what can spirituality do to alleviate suffering, what it can do and what it cannot do. So very, very interesting teaching. Buddha said that the nature of suffering is like a man hit by an arrow. One arrow hits the man, and imagine the shock and the burning and the pain. And immediately again, this poor man is hit by a second arrow. So two arrows have hit him. And the first arrow is the suffering which the world throws at us. Disease, old age, death, financial problems, relationship problems, all of the problems that the world throws at us. And that comes from our prarabdha karma. So that's the first arrow. The second arrow is our reaction to those problems. That, oh, it is so terrible. Oh, I'm suffering so much. One might think, aren't they the same thing? They're not the same thing. Notice that in the same suffering, some people, they can absorb it much better than others. Some people are much more resilient than others. So the second arrow is our reaction to it. The suffering that we experience internally, that is the second arrow. And Bhagavan Buddha says, so this was shared by Professor Arindam Chakravarti, Bhagavan Buddha says, what I can do, what spiritual life can do, is that we can remove the suffering of that second arrow. About the first arrow, we cannot do anything. So notice, old age, disease, death will come to everybody. Sri Ramakrishna, for all his samadhi and visions of gods and goddesses, for all his extraordinary wisdom, he could not avoid cancer. Cancer came to him, death came to the physical body. Once he fell down and broke his arm, I think we should switch off the mic. Yes. Yes. Otherwise, there is a disturbance which comes. So, old age, disease, death comes to everybody, even a very highly spiritual person. Old age will come, disease will come, death will come. Then what is the use of spirituality? That first arrow we cannot do anything about, but the second arrow, the reaction to that, the internal suffering that it engenders, that spirituality can handle. And most of our suffering is because of that second arrow. It was again in Calcutta about 10 years back. I had been invited to a most interesting conference of medical doctors, a medical conference. And the theme of the conference was pain, management of pain. So as you know, in medical conferences, there are multiple sessions going on all the time. One session was on talk therapies. And there I was invited to speak about spiritual therapy for pain. But there a doctor talked about pain and made a wonderful point. He drew 3 circles. One circle, concentric circle, second circle, and third circle. The innermost circle is the actual physical pain. Then the outer, the middle circle, he says it is our anxiety and uneasiness regarding the pain. He's talking about chronic pain. Suppose somebody has stomach pain, something like that. There is an actual stomach pain, sense physical sensation, and then there is an uneasiness about it, an anxiety about it. It is going to hurt now. There's going to be a lot of discomfort. That reaction. And then the outermost circle, all the social problems which come with it. Pain has debilitating effects in my social life, in my work life. So altogether, that is the suffering due to the pain. And the doctor pointed out the actual physical pain, the suffering caused by the actual physical pain is only 20% of the total suffering. 80% of the suffering is our reaction to it, is in our mind. And then further, he pointed out, the doctor in that conference, that our medicines, painkillers, we can address only that actual physical pain. And that also, he said, half the time it does not work. He said, painkillers, half the time it does not work, and 100% of the time side effects are guaranteed. Relief from pain is not guaranteed. It may work, may not work, but side effects will be there. And 80% of the discomfort and uneasiness, which is a habitual reaction of the mind in our thinking and in our behavior, that causes 80% of the suffering. So he said, this talk therapy, which includes psychological counseling and spirituality if possible, that will deal with that 80% of the suffering. The real amount of suffering comes from that second arrow, and spirituality deals with that. We need, in our approach to suffering, we need to deal with both of these arrows. Medicine, all the vaccines and all, they will deal with the first arrow. Social distancing, masking, vaccines, they will deal with the monetary relief offered by the government. They will deal with the suffering caused by the first arrow, the actual pandemic. But we really need to deal with our own reaction to suffering. So this is where spirituality comes in. How can we overcome suffering? Sri Ramakrishna's example is extraordinary. I said that he could not escape cancer. It was ultimately throat cancer which caused the death of his physical body. So there's a very interesting incident when Hari Maharaj, Swami Turiyanandaji, who was a young student at that time, he used to go to Sri Ramakrishna, and he asked Sri Ramakrishna once, and Sri Ramakrishna had throat cancer, suffering very much, emaciated in Kashipur. So Hari Maharaj asked him, "Sir, are you suffering very much?" And Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, there is a pain here, I cannot eat." And then Hari Maharaj said an amazing thing. He said, it sounds very cruel to say such a thing to a cancer patient. He said, "But sir, I see you are in great bliss. Apni to anande achen. So how is that possible?" And instead of becoming irritated, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, shala dhore niyeche. The rascal has found me out." Which means that though there is the pain of the cancer, there's no doubt about that. There is a lot of pain and discomfort. That is the first arrow. But the internal reaction that I have this terrible disease, I will suffer, I will die, this lamentation, this sorrow, this unhappiness, this deep depression and misery, that's not at all there. Internally, Sri Ramakrishna is very happy all the time. He is not affected by what is happening on the surface. So this is the benefit of spirituality, and it's a great, great support. How can we get peace of mind in the midst of suffering? Through spiritual practice, especially through Vedantic self-inquiry. So about Vedantic self-inquiry, I'll come to that a little later. First of all, let us approach it step by step. All the yogas, all the paths of spiritual practice, they will give us peace of mind. Whether it is Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Raja Yoga, or Jnana Yoga, all of them will give us peace of mind. Karma Yoga. When my actions, my behavior in the world is ethical, is moral, that gives a lot of peace of mind. See, nothing ruins the peace of mind as a guilty conscience. If I do things which I know are wrong, if I do things which I regret, which I feel guilty about, that will ruin my peace of mind. That was the whole theory, psychological theory of, we had this prashchitta. So if I feel that, we'll have to mute the
মানে বাংলায় বললে রসাস্বাদনটা ভালো হতো।
তাই তো আমি কি তাহলে কি বাংলার, no, let me keep it in English because I promised it in English, but I will do the question answer in English and Bengali. So if you ask your question in Bengali, I will answer to it in Bengali. Is that all right?
Yes,
ঠিক আছে।
Because we have an international audience, that's why it's. I thought I would have loved to speak in Bengali, but because we have a mixed audience, that's why I want to keep it in English. But what we can do is, after the talk, if you ask your question in Bengali, I will answer in Bengali. We'll do that. In between, I will use a little bit of Bengali here and there, but I will translate. So what I was saying is that if I keep my actions ethical, if I stick to morality and ethics in my action, that is one great source of peace of mind. In fact, untroubled sleep, I'll sleep and peacefully only when my conscience is peaceful, when my what we call vivek inside the voice of my conscience does not trouble me, then only I can sleep peacefully. So that's the first level of peace of mind, through karma, ethical karma. But deeper, what karma yoga tells us is the real source of um, disturbance, real source of unhappiness, restlessness caused by karma is our selfishness attached to karma. You see, it works like this. Our feeling, instinctive feeling, is that when I work for myself, all money for myself, all pleasure for myself, all praise and credit for myself, then only I will be happy. This is the kind of feeling that we have. And Swami Vivekananda says that it takes a little bit of maturity to understand that selflessness, unselfishness, actually gives more happiness than selfishness. We all understand, after some time we understand that when we do something for others, it gives me a lasting peace of mind. It gives me an upliftment, inner upliftment. So selflessness gives me peace of mind. If we perform our actions in whichever way, whether you are a monk or a householder, whether you are a professor in a college or a housewife, if the attitude is that I am doing it as service, as an offering to others around me, immediately there is peace of mind. When we do not have our own axe to grind, when we do not have our own selfish motive involved in the action, to that extent, to the extent that we can be selfless, to that extent we get automatically, immediately, peace of mind. So this is karma yoga. Karma yoga leads to peace of mind. Selfless action. Ethical action and selfless action are connected. Why are people unethical? Why are we tempted to do something wrong? Always there is a selfish motive, either temptation or fear. Either I'm tempted to get something which by some unethical means I can get it, and because of temptation I give in to that. Or out of fear, I do something wrong. Now, because of that, I am unethical. But nobody is unethical due to unselfish reasons. I am unselfishly telling a lie. I'm unselfishly stealing things. I'm unselfishly harming others. It can never happen. It's actually because of our selfish motive that generally we do wrong things. So if one's attitude towards life is selfless, it's just a change in our internal attitude. The same external life can go on, same professional life, same social life, the same family life can go on. But our internal attitude, if it becomes unselfish, then it will automatically become ethical also. Second, deeper level of peace of mind. That comes from devotion. Those of us who have some kind of belief in God, and I don't mean only in the sense of Sri Ramakrishna or Hinduism, whether it is Christ or Krishna, it's Allah or Brahman. If you have belief, if you have faith in God, now that's a wonderful support. There are numerous studies have been done that sincere religious faith is conducive to mental health. Carl Jung, long ago, he found that he said most of my patients who are in the middle age, most of my patients, middle-aged patients, they suffer because they have given up their connection with the church. And they were all Christians in that time in Europe. So they have given up their connection with religion. They have given up their connection with the church, and that is the source of their mental illness. Carl Jung, so many years ago, some 70, 80 years ago, he said this. Devotion, surrender to God, the belief that there is a supreme power who is benevolent, who will take care of me, whom I can depend upon. Sri Krishna says, there are 4 kinds of devotees: Artha, Artharthi, Jigyasu, and Bhakta, and the Jnani. So Artha and Artharthi. Artha means people who are in distress. So he's not talking about yogis and sadhakas. He's talking about people who are in trouble, who are troubled by coronavirus, who are troubled by financial ruin, by relationship problems. People who are in distress. They are my devotees. They pray to God and they get relief. They get peace of mind and strength. People who are artharthi, who want things in the world, very worldly approach, who want things, but they also are devotees of God because of they want that God should bless them, and by the blessings of God, their desires will be fulfilled. They are also devotees. And of course, he says Jigyasu and Gyani, the spiritual seeker, inquirer, someone like Vivekananda. Narendranath goes around asking, have you seen God? Jigyasu, inquirer. That person is also my devotee, Krishna says. And Gyani, the enlightened one, is also my devotee. But my point here is the first two, Artha and Arthati, people who are in trouble, people who are suffering, if they have devotion to God, that gives a lot of peace of mind. One beautiful section I remember, there is a book, The Imitation of Christ, by Thomas A. Kempis. It's a Christian devotional book, and it was very dear to Swami Vivekananda. Now, in that, there is a section which I like very much, where the author has imagined that the devotee is talking to Christ, and he asks, how can I get peace of mind? Ganesh Shanti, how can I get peace of mind? And Christ answers, of course, this is in the imagination of the author. Christ answers, if you want peace of mind, my child, do these four things. These four things. What are the four things if you want peace of mind? You will see, as I tell you the four things, they're a little difficult, and they are exactly the opposite of our modern civilization. First thing, always seek to have less rather than more. Always seek to have less rather than more. It's just the opposite of our modern materialistic civilization. Now, whether it is in USA or in India, the idea is by accumulating, I will be somehow I will be happy and fulfilled. And here the teaching is always seek to have less rather than more. No wonder that we lack peace of mind. We are accumulating. Here in the United States, I was surprised how much stuff accumulates. They know, Americans know here. House will become full of things, acquisitions. Then it will spread out to the storage and the garage. Now in America, one unique thing you will find is storage space. So there are huge buildings, you will see just outside the city, huge buildings. What is it? Nothing, just space with lock and key. You can hire one like a big room, so you can put all your things there and lock it. So more and more space we need for our possessions, acquisitions. People keep until the whole room is full. Hardly there is any place to stay. So acquisitions, here the teaching is, the less you have, the happier you are. Think about it. It's true. The more we practice simplicity, the happier we are. The second teaching is that, even more difficult, always seek to be last rather than first. Parents will be shocked. We are pressurizing the children that you have to be first in everything. You have to outperform everybody. It is a competitive world. The terrible thing, especially I think competition must be maximum in countries like India and China. I don't see the problem so much here. It's still here, also it's there, but so much pressure on children and young students, boys and girls, what we see in India, it has a very bad effect on mental health. Always seek to be last rather than first. It means, first of all, don't fall into the trap of competition. You will study, you will try to get a job, you will try to do well. But this idea that I am always in a race against others, I must push back others and go ahead, this gives great disturbance of mind, tremendous restlessness and tremendous unhappiness. There is a saying, this competition is called a rat race. So there is a saying, if you win the rat race, you're still a rat because you are running the rat race. Don't be a rat. Don't be part of the rat race. Your job, your studies, you will do. But the competition mentality, you drop that. Always seek to be last rather than first means, in all things, credit. Let others have credit. Like a mother, for example, if she has made a cake at home and only one piece is left, will she always think that before the children come from school, let me eat the cake because there's not enough cake? No, she'll be happy if the children come and eat it. She will be happy. She doesn't want it for herself. Let me be last. Whatever is remaining, I will take. Let others enjoy. You will get peace of mind. New York here is a very competitive place that way. The whole standard of success is money. how rich you are. So when I say these things, people say, no, then others will go ahead. How can you survive in a place here? You have to survive like rats. And it's very interesting that New York actually has more rats than human beings. If you Google it, you will see big problem here is New York rats. Anytime you go outside, you will see rats running around here and there. Not human rats, actual rats. So always seek to be last rather than first. I don't mean that you will drop out of life. You have to go away to the mountain and stay in a cave. Not like that. What I mean is a change in mentality. The second thing, the third teaching is even more difficult. Always seek to do the will of another rather than your own will. Uh, we get into a lot of issues, lot of quarrels. We spoil our relationships because, and we say in Bengali, amar mot khatate hobe. See, it's mostly my opinion. If you follow the opinion of somebody else, how much difference will it be to you? 10%, 20%. In Hindi, they say 19-20. So often, in most cases, when we are quarreling, it's the opinion of others, which we want to overcome. We want to put our opinion there. So the teaching here is, in all things, try to do the will of another rather than your own, will of the other than your own. And the last one is the most important one. Fourth teaching is that in all things in life, whatever happens in life, learn to recognize and accept the will of God. In whichever you believe in God, that it is by God's will. And it's a fact that if you have devotion, if you have bhakti, then the idea is that there is a supreme power. So whatever is happening is by the will of that supreme power, whether it is to my liking or not. If I accept that, immediate result is peace of mind. Bhakti means love of God. The love of God, any kind of love gives happiness immediately. I often say that if you want to be, do you want to be happy right now and lastingly happy, then fall in love. If you fall in love with a human being, you will get happiness, but also little unhappiness also will be mixed within it. And it changes and it increases, decreases, and ultimately fades away because the human being is changing. But if you fall in love with God, that leads to lasting, deep happiness. You need not tell people, but internally, you have deep devotion. It could be Christ or Krishna. It could be Ramakrishna, Sri Chaitanya, in whichever form, whichever religion you follow. Internally, if we have a deep devotion to God, immediate result is lasting peace of mind. Ma Sharada said that ভগবানকে ভালোবাসো, মানুষকে ভালোবাসলে মা দুঃখ আছে. So what does that mean? That we have to love God, and if your love is directed to the human aspect of a person, then there will be suffering. Does that mean that we will not love human beings? No, not at all. We will love human beings, but seeing the divinity in all of them. That way we are actually loving the divine in a human being. Otherwise, when we love a human being, we are loving either at the bodily level or at the personality level, both of which are changing. So love, devotion to God, bhakti, gives us deep peace of mind. Then even deeper peace of mind is through dhyana, meditation. Good thoughts, loving thoughts, even those thoughts also, at least a couple of times in a day, all thoughts should cease. Just because I have a mind does not mean I have to keep thinking continuously. Because I have legs, does it mean I have to keep walking continuously? No. I have hands, does it mean I have to grasp things continuously? I have a mouth, does it mean I have to eat continuously? No. Similarly, I have a mind, it's an instrument. In Vedanta, it is called antahkarana, inner instrument. Just because that instrument is there, do I have to continuously let it keep on thinking? After all, most of those thoughts are useless thoughts. They are habitual thoughts, patterns. So there must be a time when through meditation, this ceaseless thinking must also come to a stop. At least once or twice in the morning and evening for a few minutes. Deep calmness, quiet mind, a serene mind, you'd get peace of mind. Yoga is defined by Patanjali in the second Yoga Sutra, Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. The cessation of this incessant thinking, the cessation of that thinking is yoga. The real meaning of yoga is that. By the way, yoga is very popular here in the West, but what is popular is the physical yoga, the asanas and pranayama. here, or often in New York, in Manhattan, or in many other cities of United States. Every street you will see there is one yoga studio, they call it. So everybody is going and exercising there. But the deeper meaning of yoga is meditation. Cessation of thought gives peace of mind. As mind calms down, good thoughts, bad thoughts, as you shut them down for a few minutes at least, you realize what a vast ocean of peace is there beyond the mind, underlying the mind. Patanjali says, Tada drashtu swarupi avasthanam. Swami Vivekananda compares it with a lake. Suppose there's a vast lake and no waves on the lake, and the water of the lake is also very clear. Then you can see through the lake to the bottom of the lake. Similarly, the mind is like a lake. The thoughts are like waves. If there are no waves, no thoughts, and the mind is also pure, then you can see through, or you can experience the real self, which is beyond the mind. All this is not my topic. Now I'm coming to the topic. The topic is peace of mind through Vedantic self-inquiry. I have talked about peace of mind through Karma Yoga. I have spoken about peace of mind through devotion, Bhakti Yoga, and peace of mind through meditation, Raja Yoga. As distinguished from all of this, we'll now look at a unique way, which is quite different from these. All of these, Swami Vivekananda recommends you should do them all together, the 4 yogas. But one must understand the unique nature of this 4th one, which I'm going to speak about, Jnana Yoga, the path of knowledge. Swami Vivekananda, in his famous definition of religion, the manifestation of the divinity within us, he says you can do it by work, you can do it by psychic control. Psychic control means meditation. You can do it by love, which is devotion, bhakti. And then he says you can do it by philosophy. By philosophy, he means Jnana Yoga, the path of inquiry. So what is this Jnana Yoga and how do we practice it? How does it give peace of mind? I'll say a few words and then we will take questions. This is the actual topic of today's talk, the path of self-inquiry. We know Advaita Vedanta says that our real nature is an immortal existence, consciousness, bliss, Sat, Chit, Ananda. What is Sat? What is Chit? What is Ananda? Sat is the unlimited existence. When we talk about existence, what we normally mean are existing things. You know, a book exists, man exists, a woman exists, sky exists, earth exists, particles exist, the cosmos exists. But what Vedanta says, existence itself is the reality. What is meant by existence itself is a very subtle concept. It is more like, it is a little like, you may have a lot of pots, various kinds of pottery, but all of them are nothing but clay. Clay alone has been given different shapes, and you call it a pot, a tumbler, a jar, different names are given. Names and forms are different, but the material is the same. You can have a variety of ornaments, necklace, bracelet, rings, tiara, whatever it, crown, whatever it is. All of these are various ornaments. They look different. The use is different. Names are different. But we all know if they are golden ornaments, they are all gold. Thousands of waves in the ocean. Some are big, some are small, some are like tsunami waves, some are like bubbles. But they are all water. So just like water in all of the waves, just like gold in all these ornaments, clay in all these pots, Vedanta says there is an absolute existence which appears as all existing objects. Just like water appears as thousands of waves in the ocean, similarly, can we think of, when you look around the world right now, you are seeing so many things. Notice one thing common to all of these things, they all exist. You see, you can see the window behind you, the computer in front of you, the fan above you. Existence. Fan is, window is, computer is. Look at your own body. Body is. This one existence which underlies all things, can you think of it as the reality? We think of the objects as reality. Vedanta says reverse it. Think of reality, existence itself is the reality. And these objects which you see around you, they are like waves in the ocean of existence. Mai Ananta Mahambodhau Vishwa Viji Swabhavata. In Ashtavakra Gita, Ashtavakra sings, in me, the infinite ocean of existence, the universe comes up as waves. So I am an ocean of existence, not just this one particular body. I am existence itself. Here it is a body, a living body. There it is a window. Outside it is a tree. So this one existence. I was reading the famous German philosopher Heidegger. So his introduction to metaphysics, there he says this question about existence. What is existence? What is it to exist? So he says this is the most profound question in philosophy. He says this is the widest question, deepest question, and most fundamental question. What is the question? What is existence? So why is it the widest question? It covers everything, because everything exists. So everything is covered. When you ask about a question about gold, it will cover every golden ornament. When you ask a question about water, it will cover every watery body. If you ask a question about existence, it covers every existing thing. What is not covered by existence? What is not covered by the question of existence? Only one possible thing, non-existence. But non-existent means it does not exist, so it's not there at all. So everything that is there is covered by this question, what is existence? And Heidegger says it is the widest question. Second, it is the deepest question. What does it mean by deep question? So when we study science, you have a science of the body, of physiology. If you go deeper, it's the science of biochemistry, because this physical body is kept alive by biochemistry. If you go deeper, it is chemistry. If you go deeper, it is physics. If you go even deeper, it is mathematics. If you go even deeper, it might be logic. So each deeper level is a more fundamental science because it explains the higher level knowledge. Now, the question about existence is the deepest question. So it is asking about the most fundamental thing in the universe. Third, the question about existence is the most fundamental question. This is a very subtle point. Fundamental question, why? Because it is self-referential. What Heidegger means is, there are certain questions we're asking, like a scientist, for example, a scientist is studying coronavirus. So scientist is interested in the coronavirus itself, but he's not including himself in that study. He's outside the study. The object of study is different from himself. So in scientific study, we keep the subject out of the object. You have a particular field which you are investigating, and other things are excluded. But when you are asking about existence, the question, what is existent, is also an existing thing. Let me repeat that. I'm asking, what is existence? But that question which I'm asking, what is existence, that question is also an existing thing. It's a question. So it is part of that question you are asking. When you are asking what is existence, you are also studying the question itself, the questionnaire himself. So it is the most fundamental inquiry. The widest inquiry, deepest inquiry, most fundamental inquiry is this inquiry, what is existence? And Vedanta says, you are that, Tattvamasi, that existence which is the basis of this entire universe, you are that existence. Consciousness, Chaitanya. Nowadays, consciousness studies is a hot subject. 25 years ago, people were not interested. But nowadays, there's a lot of work going on in consciousness studies. I see around me, NYU, I was at Harvard last year. It was very interesting that so much work and so much interest is there in what is consciousness. Of course, most of the work is reductionist. That is, it tries to understand consciousness only in terms of brain functioning. Now, Vedanta says our nature is consciousness. We are consciousness. We might say, yeah, I know I am consciousness. But what we think is, I am a body with consciousness. That's what we normally think and feel and act like that. But what Vedanta says, you are consciousness experiencing a body. How to understand that? There are various ways of showing it. I have spoken about it on different occasions. Drigdrishya Viveka, the method of the seer and the seen. Panchakosha Viveka, the method of the 5 layers of the human personality. Avastatraya Viveka, the method of the 3 states of waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. All of them will demonstrate to us the claim, the truth of the claim that we are consciousness. Let me give you a little example. Then I will go deeper into it. How does this inquiry proceed? One can do it immediately. So the Drigdrishya Vivek, which is simple and direct and powerful, it says we will try to find out what we are. And notice, in every experience, all our experience has the structure of subject and object. I am the experiencer, and this is the object of my experience. This place, this computer, these people, they are objects of my experience, and I am the subject. And this is the structure of all our experience. Now, the method of Drigdrishya Viveka takes this up. It says that notice that the subject and the object are always different. The drashta and the drishya, drashta means the seer, and the drishya are different. In what sense? When I look at the book, here is a book, and this book is an object, is the drishya, and the eyes are seeing it. So the eyes, in a very naive way, step 1, the eyes are the drashta, and the book is the drishya. Clearly, book and eyes are different. Go further. The eyes themselves, eyes are open, eyes are closed, unable to see properly. I need glasses. About 4 years back, I was having difficulty seeing properly. I thought, what happened? So I went to an eye doctor here in New York, and the doctor said, oh, serious condition. I said, what? He said, you have reached 40. He said, one clear indicator of reaching 40 is that slowly the eyes will have problems seeing without glasses. Spectacles are called glasses here. So you need glasses. So reaching 40 is a serious condition. So I think most of us here, we are already in that serious condition. Not only that, somebody told me, what are the good shops to get glasses here, spectacles here in New York? And then somebody said, even better than that, you can get in India. So one thing I did when I went for 10 days in 2018 there, I went to the well-known optician in Belur Bazaar, and there I got these glasses. I'm still using them. So I got it from Belur Bazaar. The eyes need glasses. Who understands these things? The condition of the eyes is understood by the mind. So mind is drashta, the eyes are drishya. And clearly mind, whatever it is different from the organs called the eyes. Why only the eyes? All the sensory system, ears and nose and tongue and touch, they're all different from the mind, which can observe them and think about them. The mind itself, we are aware of the thoughts in the mind. When I am unhappy, I'm aware that I'm unhappy. When I'm happy, when I understand something, I understand. I am aware that I understand. When I remember something, I'm aware that I remember. When I cannot remember something, it's on the tip of my tongue, we say, but I'm aware of it. This unchanging awareness of the movements of the mind, this is called the drashta. So the method of Drigdrishya Viveka is, start with the simplest thing. You're looking at the world. Rupam drishyam lochanam drik. The world is seen and the eyes are the seer. Tad drishyam driktu manasam. The eyes are seen, understood, and the mind is the seer. Drishyadhivittaya sakshi. The movements of the mind, happiness, sadness, memory, understanding, not understanding, desiring, all of those I am aware of. That is the meaning of introspection. When we look into our own minds, I am aware of the movements of my mind. The one that is aware of the movements of the mind, that is called sakshi, witness. And the mind is something, is an object, you're aware of it. That sakshi must be different from the mind, just as the eyes are different from this book. The mind is different from the eyes. The sakshi must be different from the mind. Now, you might say, so what? Remember, All our experience is of the format subject-object. I am the subject, and what I experience is the object. Now, if the mind is experienced by me, as we can see, the mind is experienced. It's an object. Thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, memories, all the so-called constituents of the person, now we realize they are objects. And I, the awareness which illumines these objects, the witness of the mind, I must be that, because that is the real subject. The mind is an object. The body and the sensory system are object. The external world is an object. But that witness consciousness, that is called Sakshi, that is called Chaitanya, consciousness in itself. That is the witness of all things. Drigeva natu drishyate. The witness itself can never be objectified. It never becomes an object. It is ever the subject. In connection with the mind, it becomes the person. In connection with the mind and the sensory organs and all, we are this person who is experiencing a physical world. But the physical world is object, different from us. The body is an object, different from me. The mind is a collection of thoughts and feelings, object, different from me. I am consciousness. Now you might say that's very interesting, but so what? How does it help in getting peace? Notice something. All that we experience is experienced in the mind, and the mind itself is experienced in consciousness. I'll repeat that. Whatever we experience in the world, good and bad, is experienced in the mind. And the mind is illumined, revealed, experienced by consciousness. This is what we are talking about now. Consciousness and mind are different because mind is an object to consciousness. So what? All the problems that we experience have to first come into the mind. Then only it becomes a problem. One sadhu in Uttarakhand put it very beautifully. We make a big mistake. We think samsar se man ashant hai. In Hindi he said. You have to switch off the microphone. Pull up has to switch off the microphone. Yeah. That sadhu said.
Sorry, Maharaj.
You have to switch it off. Yes. The sadhu said that samsar se man ashant hai. In Bengali, আমরা মনে করি সংসারের জন্য মন অশান্ত হচ্ছে, সংসারের সমস্যার জন্য মন অশান্ত. This seems to be a given fact, obvious, but the sadhu said this is wrong. He said, it is because my mind is ashanta, that's why we have problems in samsara. He put it very beautifully. He said that shant man mein bhala sansar kaun dekha hai. When the mind শান্ত মনে কোনো সংসারের সমস্যাই নেই. আমরা উল্টো ভাবি যে সংসারের সমস্যার জন্য মন অশান্ত. সাধুটি বলল ব্যাপারটা কিন্তু উল্টো. মন অশান্ত বলে আমার সমস্যা মনে হচ্ছে. It's because my mind is restless. That's why I think there's a terrible problem in the world outside. You might say, no, because your mind is peaceful, will the problems in the world be solved? Not so. The world will remain as it is. But what seemed to be a terrible problem, what seemed to be insoluble, what seemed to be an unsupportable burden will now become, you can deal with it. It's not something impossible. You will get peace and strength to deal with these problems. The problems will become very small. The perspective will change. So the real peace comes when there's peace of mind. Not that I have to solve every problem in the world. I have to put right all the wrong things people are doing. Then only I will get peace of mind. No, it's impossible. There'll never be peace of mind that way. But if I have peace of mind, then the problems of the world will be put in perspective and we will know how to deal with it. Shant man mein sansar kaun dekha hai? Shanto mone kothay, sansar kothay? আমরা ভাবি সংসারের জন্য মন অশান্ত, কিন্তু অশান্ত মনের জন্যই সংসারের সমস্যা দেখা দিচ্ছে আমাদের. So that is one thing. Beyond the mind, underlying the mind, illumining the mind is consciousness. And that consciousness has no problem at all. Notice, shanti and ashanti, peace and restlessness are in the mind. Restless mind is revealed by consciousness as much as peaceful mind. Think about it. It's a very important insight. Restless mind is revealed as much as peaceful mind by the same consciousness. In that case, what is consciousness? Is it restless or is it peaceful? Neither restlessness nor peace of the mind is stuck to consciousness. Consciousness is ever at peace. It is like a movie screen. On the movie screen, the most dramatic movies may be shown, the most terrible tragedy may be shown, the great disaster, there may be fire on the screen, there may be earthquake on the screen, flood on the screen. But if there is fire on the screen which is being shown, will the screen get burnt? No. If there is a flood in the movie, will the screen become wet? No. If there is an earthquake shown in the movie, will the screen become cracked? No. Similarly, whatever problem is shown in the mind, consciousness itself is not affected by that. It reveals that problem. Now, when I identify myself with consciousness, when I realize I am the awareness, not the mind revealed by the awareness. When say, how will you say that, Swami? This is actually not very difficult. When I am revealing the book, my eyes are revealing the book. Do I say I am the book? Never. That's a ridiculous statement. Similarly, when my mind is revealing the eyes and the body, I should say the body is an object. It's there. It may have its problems, but it's an object. I am not it. Similarly, I, the consciousness, am revealing the mind with all its problems, all its restlessness. But even when the mind is restless, I am not restless. I, the awareness, am not restless. When we think in this way, and this thinking is going on in the mind only, the mind itself will get peace. When we realize the real nature, my real nature is consciousness which is ever at peace. The very nature of consciousness is peace. Then the mind also will become peaceful immediately. The name of consciousness, not that consciousness is peaceful. Mind can be peaceful, mind can be restless. But consciousness is not peaceful. Consciousness is peace itself. In the Mandukya Upanishad, Atma, Chaitanya, Turiya is given the name Shantam. Shantam Shivam Advaitam. So Shantam. My name is Shantam. My name is peace. I am ever at peace. This peace is an independent peace. The peace of consciousness, which is revealed by self-enquiry, is an independent peace. Independent peace means it does not depend upon the situation in the world. It reveals the situation in the world. It does not depend upon the health or the illness of the body. It reveals the health or the illness of the body. Consciousness does not become ill. It does not even depend upon peace of the mind. It reveals the peace of the mind. It reveals the restlessness of the mind. Consciousness itself is ever at rest. That ever at rest, that ever at peace consciousness, I am. This consciousness, Chaitanya, which I am, is not increased or decreased by anything in the world. It is not increased by success, not glorified by success. It is not diminished by failure. It is not diminished, reduced by old age or disease. In the Ashtavakra Gita, that verse which I recited, Mai ananta mahambhodau vishwa vichi swabhavata udetu vastamayatu name vriddhi navakshati. What a beautiful verse. In me, the infinite ocean of awareness, the universe comes up like waves. In me, in awareness. Let it arise, let it diminish. Let birth come, let death come. Let success come, let failure come. Let good health come, let COVID come, and then recovery from COVID also let it come. Name vriddhi navakshati. I, the consciousness, I am not increased thereby, I am not diminished thereby. Nothing in the world, nothing in the body, nothing in the mind can add even a little bit to your glory, can diminish, can reduce your glory as this consciousness. Consciousness, this entire world appears to consciousness. A deeper understanding is it appears in consciousness, and final understanding will be it is consciousness alone which is appearing as its object. See, initially when we start, we separate the object from the subject. But then we realize that the entirety of appearance is in consciousness. What it is like, let me tell you. Two examples. One is the movie example, where whatever is shown in the movie, actors and car and sky and earth and cities, whatever is shown is nothing more than the screen itself. It's all in the screen. No matter you show outer space or under the ocean, you show human beings or animals, they are all nothing. They are all in the screen itself. Every bit of it is, when you touch something in a movie which is going on, you touch a human being, touch a car, touch a dog, touch the sky, touch the earth in the movie. When you try to touch, what are you touching? The screen. Similarly, everything that is experienced in consciousness is nothing but consciousness, Chaitanya itself, you yourself. Another example is the dream example. In our dreams, we forget that we are sleeping. We enter a world of dreams, and we experience people, we experience events and animals and space. And yet when we wake up, what happens? We realize all of it was in my mind. It was all imagined in my mind. Follow this carefully. The relationship between the dream world and its contents and the dreamer's mind. Two things. The dream world with all its contents, dream contents, and the dreamer's mind. They are the same thing. The dream world is nothing different from the dreamer's mind. It's exactly the same difference between consciousness, between the world that is experienced and consciousness. The materialist worldview is that the physical world is independent out there, and consciousness experiences the world. What Vedanta is proposing is very radical. It goes beyond idealism. I remember we used to study the philosophy of education by Professor Gautam Banerjee used to teach us the philosophy of education. So the idealistic philosophy of education, suppose the subjective idealism of Berkeley, Bishop Berkeley, the entire thing is in the mind. But Vedanta is going further. The world and the mind both are appearances in consciousness. Swami Vivekananda says in his poem, one alone exists. It appears as nature, soul. Matter and mind, both are appearances of one consciousness. It is in consciousness, and it is you. You are that unchanging background in which the entire universe appears, the body appears, and the mind with its peace and restlessness, they appear and disappear. You are always at peace. You shining, the entirety of the universe is revealed. Kathopanishad says, Tameva bhantam anubhati sarvam. That consciousness shining, everything else shines. Everything else shines means the consciousness shining, mind is illumined by consciousness. The mind illumined illumines the senses. The illumined senses now can illumine the world. Illumine means experience the world. But that consciousness is you. You shining, the mind shines by your light. You shining, the mind and the senses are lit up. And by the mind and the senses, you alone experience the world. The entire world which is experienced is in you, the immortal consciousness. That is absolute peace. Shantam Shivam Advaitam. It is peace beyond the possibility of any disturbance, no matter what happens in life. I was reading the philosopher Jiddu Krishnamurti. If you read his teachings, it feels very complicated. So somebody asked him, all this is very difficult. Please tell us in your entire teaching in one sentence. And Jiddu Krishnamurti said, I do not mind what happens. Simple. I do not mind what happens. What a great teaching for the peace of mind. If you realize that I am the witness of the entire universe of appearances, whatever is happening in life, then you also can claim, I do not mind what happens. He doesn't say, I do not care. I care. When there is suffering, I care. I will respond to it. But ultimately, from my own perspective, I do not mind what happens. What a tremendous source of strength and peace that is. After that, you can be involved in the world and be tremendously active. You can withdraw from the world and sit in meditation. You can be an activist. You can be a monk. You can be whatever. I do not mind what happens. That you can say because you are completely secure, you're completely safe, you're completely at peace, because you are this infinite existence, this infinite consciousness, this unlimited existence, this unlimited consciousness. This very unlimited nature of existence and consciousness is what is called Ananda in Vedanta. What is Ananda? Is one kind of Ananda which is the feeling of happiness. Ananda is a feeling of happiness we get, but Vedanta is not talking about the feeling of happiness. The feeling of happiness which we get in the mind, that comes and goes. That is in the mind. This Chaitanya, this infinite Chaitanya, does not come and go. In it, other things come and go. It appearances come and go, but it does not come and go. It is always there. Even in void, in Shunya, it is there. I remember in the training center when we were brahmacharis, we had a professor who would come, retired professor of philosophy, who would come. I think he was retired from Jadavpur University, Nirodbaran Chakraborty. Professor Nirodbaran Chakraborty, a very short but towering personality, short in height but towering in personality. He was a disciple of Swami Avedanandaji. And he taught us Western philosophy. At that time, I was a brahmachari and I was very interested in all kinds of philosophy. I remember I was interested in reading Bradley's Appearance and Reality. And I asked him to help me. And so Professor Nirodbaran Chakraborty was so happy to see this young brahmachari willing to read this abstruse text. He said, "Maharaj, আপনি পড়বেন? এসব তো আজকাল কেউ পড়তে চায় না, আমি আপনাকে পড়াবো." And so he would give up that, "Maharaj, you want to read this? Nobody likes to read these things these days. So I will teach you." And he gave up his afternoon siesta, a very important thing for us Indians. Afternoon sleep he gave up. After food, he would sit in his room in the training center and he would teach me Appearance and Reality of Bradley. And the result of that, very interesting, 25 years later, last year I was in Harvard University. We were studying Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, by a world-renowned professor of Buddhism, Professor J. Garfield. And in the class, when he's talking about Vijnanavada, Shunyavada, he said, there is a book by a Western philosopher. Have you heard of it? Appearance and Reality. And all those graduate students in philosophy, they all looked at each other. They have not heard. So I was one Indian monk sitting there. I raised my hand. I said, "I have read it." And he was so happy, the professor. That, "Oh, you have read it. See, he has read it." And I said, "It is by Professor Bradley." He said, "Yes, that book. If you want to understand what Nagarjuna is saying in Shunyavada Buddhism, one way from the Western perspective would be to read Bradley, Appearance and Reality." Why I'm saying this is that I was reading Tibetan Buddhism at that time in training center 25 years ago. So one day I asked Professor Nirodbaran Chakraborty that in Nagarjuna's conception of Shunya, that is the absolute, there is nothing there. I still remember the vivid scene, the short gentleman, elderly, wearing dhuti and kurta, with big eyes. He looked at me with a amused smile and he said, "Chei Shunner Drashta ke Maharaj." To whom is that Shunya revealed? You're saying Shunya, but what certifies, what witnesses, what testifies to the void nature of reality, the emptiness of everything, is revealed to what? You say, why should it be revealed? Let it be like that. If something you can say, let it be like that without any testifying it, without any establishment, then why speak about it at all? Then you can speak about X, Y, Z, anything. If you are talking about a fact of knowledge, that I know the reality is Shunya, who knows? So ultimately, Chaitanya, even when you say nothing exists, it must be revealed to consciousness. Consciousness is indubitable, uncancelable. It is the fundamental reality which we always are. This unchanging, indubitable, uncancelable nature of consciousness is peace. When we say peace of mind through Vedantic inquiry, this is what the self-inquiry, this is what it leads us to. This Sat, Chit, this infinite Sat Chit itself is Ananda. Not the changing Ananda of the mind. It is the infinite nature of consciousness, which itself is the Ananda which Vedanta talks about. I think I should bring it to a close here. I've made my points, and then there will be people with many questions, I think. Will somebody, Krishnendu Maharaj, will somebody conduct the question answer?
Dr. Sharan Chakraborty will lead. Sharan Chakraborty, sir.
Pranam Maharaj, Pranam.
Sharon Babu, namaskar.
Pranam.
Very good to see you.
We are very much encouraged and benefited by the inspired talks of revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Minister in Charge, Vedanta Society, New York, and ex-principal Ramakrishna Mission Section Mandira, Belur Math. The present world, which is overwhelmed by a burning problem, that is restless mind in this digital world. In this situation, we have come to know from revered Maharaj that restless mind is the root cause for our lack of peace. That is due to restless mind. We have been suffering from lack of peace. We offer our deep regards and pranam to Maharaj. We are grateful to Maharaj for his valuable talks.
Sure, sir. There are so many questions.
Yes, now question and answer session is going to start. So many questions we have received in our chat box. I shall try to offer a lot of questions to revered Maharaj, and Maharaj will kindly provide answers. Pranam Maharaj.
Sharon Babu, you can read out a few of the questions.
Yes, Maharaj.
শিহরণ স্যার একটু ইন্টারাক্ট করছি কেউ বাটনে রেজড হ্যান্ড বাটনটা পুশ করেছেন কেউ বোধহয় প্রশ্ন আছে তাদের উদ্দেশ্যে বলা যে তারা যেন চ্যাট বক্সেই লেখেন মাইক্রোফোন অন করে যেন কোশ্চেন না করেন শিহরণ স্যার আপনি প্লিজ
Maharaj, Krishna Chakraborty asked, Pranam Neven Maharaj, during the vulnerable situations due to Prarabdha Karma, on that particular situation, as I am aware of it but unable to control my emotional behavior, what should I do at the particular moment?
It is very natural that we react emotionally when we are faced with such trouble. Prarabdha karma, it is our own karma which comes in our life as various kinds of difficult situations. Good and bad, both are produced by our past karma. Now, it is these practices, I mentioned 4 practices: karma, karma yoga, bhakti yoga, dhyana yoga, and jnana yoga. These 4 practices help us to maintain our peace of mind, maintain our serenity of mind in the face of such adverse situations. So these 4, to put it very briefly, keep this attitude in mind. 1, I don't want anything. If I can be of service, I am happy. Moment I say to the world, I don't want anything from you, you will get peace of mind, you will get strength of mind. We become helpless because we are going around asking for a little bit of happiness, little bit of appreciation, little bit of comfort from the world. If I can strongly say, I don't want anything, I'm all right. See, whatever we can get from the world ultimately does not help us. No amount of money, no amount of appreciation, no amount of name and fame, all of these will come and go, and we are still the same. So there's no need to beg from the world for a little bit of, du paishar prashangsha, du paishar man samman. We need not do that. So that is the first attitude. The second one is devotion. My heart is given to Bhagavan in whatever form, whatever your religious belief, your structure, you must have somewhere to hold on to, a supreme power beyond this world on whom I have faith, love, surrender. That is a great source of strength to face the ups and downs of the world, bhakti. The third attitude is peace of mind. I am quiet. Quieten the mind. Remember that formula. Samsara is not outside. My mind is not ashanta because of samsara. It is because my mind is ashanta that I am experiencing this problem in samsara. Same problem a person with calm mind can deal much better. So, calm mind. And finally, who am I? I am the infinite existence consciousness bliss. In me alone, this entire samsara is appearing. What can it do to me? Swami Vivekananda's nice, analogy of of a bull with big horns. A mosquito came and sat there. After some time, the mosquito said, "Sir, I forgot to ask your permission. Did I create a lot of trouble? I was sitting on your horn." And the bull said, "Oh, you were there. I did not know at all. You can come and settle down with your family." That should be our attitude to the problems of the world. That I did not even know you were there. I don't care. Sri Ramakrishna would give that very beautiful example of the ones and the zeros. All the zeros, if you put them together, it's still zero. But if you have the one, then every zero gets value. 1 0 is 10, 2 zeros is 100, and so on. Now, what are the zeros? Anything that the world can give is zero. If I just hold on to the things that the world has given, money, respect, name and fame, success, body, health, or youth, all these will go away very soon. They come and go. The Bengali saying, "Banet jale bheshe ashe." So they come and go. Don't be attached to them. But hold on to the one. Then you will have true peace of mind. I always say, my experiences in the United States over the last 4 or 5 years, 3 interesting places I stayed in. One was Hollywood. There, the measure of success is glamour. How much you are closely connected with the movie industry, which film star you know, which film you have worked in, and that is glamour. If you're more glamorous, more successful in film industry, you are successful. Second place I stayed in was here, New York. In the Wall Street is nearby. More money you have, the more successful. If you are a millionaire, you're successful. If you're a billionaire, even more successful. Then third place I stayed in was for 1 year at less than 1 year in Boston at Harvard University. So there the measure of success is, are you the head of the department? How many books you have published? How many citations you have got? A Nobel Prize winner? So that is the the education, learning is the ladder of success there. Now, in all cases, I noticed that those who were able to catch on to one, some spirituality is there in their life, whether it is in Hollywood or Wall Street or Harvard, they're happy. But the rest, those who try to catch on to glamour will fade away. Near our ashram itself in Hollywood, there were these famous TV stars whom people 40 years ago they recognized, but today the youngsters do not recognize at all. What is the use of being such a famous person? Everybody recognizes, 40 years later, nobody recognizes. I know people here in recent economic troubles because of that. They have lost hundreds of millions of dollars personally. Imagine, $1 million is such a large amount of money. Within days, people have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. So one person has lost hundreds. Like that, there are a number of such persons here. Now, money also goes away. And academic excellence, Nobel Prize winner. But what happens? As age comes, other more intelligent, brilliant, younger people come and they exceed you. Your mental health will fail because of the aging of the body, that capacity, that learning. A great philosopher told me once, I'm feeling depressed, Swamiji. Why? That he had a mild stroke. So I cannot remember. My mind is not as quick as it used to be. Now, it is natural. But if I am attached to that body mind, if I'm attached that my whole existence is concerned with my academic excellence, then that will decline. It will decline. I remember in North Dakota University, I was giving a talk. I talked about these things. One professor said that our professors need to hear this. I see so many senior professors that are suffering internally, mentally, because age is coming, other younger people are coming, more qualified, more smart, more connected to the modern world. And then now, once at one time, a great professor, renowned, now nobody recognizes, nobody asks him, and he is feeling depressed. But I am not the mind, I am not the body. This wealth and knowledge and glamour, these may come and go. I should think they are nothing to me. They are zeros. My glory does not is not connected to them, does not depend upon them. As Ashtavakra says, neither increases nor decreases. And then we have true peace of mind.
Right,
Maharaj, Maharaj Shubhir Banerjee asks, what is the easiest way to practice peace for mind?
Easiest way will depend upon your mental makeup. For some people, devotion or bhakti comes much more easily. For many people, it is much easier to feel the presence of, Thakur or Ma. And it's easy for me mentally to offer all my troubles, all that is happening in samsara mentally to Sri Thakur or Sri Ma, and I feel relieved at peace. God will take care of it. For many people, mental makeup is such. For many people, mental makeup is they have a jnana makeup, that God, who knows whether God exists or not, but I exist. I have no doubt that I exist. That's the bottom line. Descartes, again, Gautam Babu taught us about Descartes. So I think, therefore I exist. Cogito ergo sum. So everything can be denied, but my own existence cannot be denied, because to think that I do not exist, that is also a thought. So the thinker of the thoughts must exist. So my own existence is indubitable. God's existence can be questioned. My own existence cannot be questioned, at least by me. So some people have a jnana mentality, that I must concentrate on what is obvious to me, not that I cannot believe in something. Let me share an interesting story. Professor Gayatri Spivak, Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak, and he visited the college also. She visited the college. She is an emeritus professor at Columbia University, and she's an academic superstar, of course, in the world today. So she is deeply interested in philosophy and religion. You might not associate her with religion, but she's very much interested. So once she had invited me to have lunch with her at the Columbia University faculty lounge, and sitting there, she made a remark. She said, in Bengali, she said, এখানে যা আছে সেটাই, এর চেয়ে বেশি বলবেন না. That means I am willing to accept whatever is here in this universe. Don't talk to me about something beyond, some supernatural God or something. I'm not willing to accept. Now, if my attitude is like that, then the path of jnana, the path of knowledge, that will be appealing to me. If you tell such a person about God, believe in God and surrender everything to God, no. And she communicated something wonderful, Professor Gayatri Chakravarti. She said that she used to come to this Vedanta society in the 1960s and early 70s. Professor Swami Pavitranandaji was here. So one day she came and told Swami Pavitranandaji that, Maharaj, amar oi ঠাকুর ঠুকুরে আর বিশ্বাস হয় না. I do not believe in Thakur anymore. And she said, instead of being annoyed, Swami Pavitranandaji said, কি আর করবি, এবার তোর অধ্যয়নই তোর তপস্যা. Oh, well, what can you do? From now on, your academics is your spirituality. And Gayatri Spivak said, from that time till today, I've always taken it that my work, the academic work I'm doing, whether I'm teaching here in Columbia University or in Paris in Sorbonne University or in an interior village to girl children in Bengal, everywhere I feel this is my spiritual practice. Now you see, for that mentality, it is service through one's activity. For example, academics, that is spirituality. So your question is, which is the easiest way to get peace of mind? It can be through action, it can be through philosophy, or it can be through devotion also. It depends upon your mental makeup.
মহারাজ
একটা প্রশ্ন আছে, ব্রহ্মচারী জিৎ মহারাজ করেছেন বিদ্যা মন্দির থেকে।
Yes.
বৌদ্ধ ধর্মে যে অনাত্মা বলা হয় সেটার ভিত্তি কি? শূন্যবাদকে, শূন্যের দ্রষ্টাকে এই প্রশ্ন দিয়ে নিরস্ত করা যায়, কিন্তু বিজ্ঞানবাদের যে ক্ষণিক অহং এবং অনাত্মা থিওরি, সেটাকে বেদান্ত পার্সপেক্টিভে কি করে ব্যাখ্যা করা যায়, যদি একটু আলোকপাত করেন।
ঠিক আছে, যেহেতু প্রশ্নটা বাংলাতে, বিকজ ইটস ইন বেঙ্গলি, আই উইল রিপ্লাই টু ইট ইন বেঙ্গলি। প্রশ্ন হচ্ছে যে বেদান্ত, শুধু বেদান্ত নয়, যত সব আস্তিক মত, যেগুলো আমাকে আস্তিক মত বলি, ষড়দর্শন, সেগুলো সব আত্মবাদ। সাংখ্য, যোগ, ন্যায়, বৈশেষিক, তারপরে পূর্ব মীমাংসা আর বেদান্ত, সবই হচ্ছে আত্মবাদ। আমরা সবাই বলি যে এই দেহ মন অতিরিক্ত একটি আত্মা আছে, এই যে পঞ্চকোশ বিলক্ষণ আত্মা, অবস্থাত্রয়ের সাক্ষী আত্মা, যে বিষয়ে আমি কথা বলছিলাম এতক্ষণ। তো একটি আত্মা আছে। আর বৌদ্ধরা এটাকে আক্রমণ করে। ওরা বলে যে আচ্ছা, এই যে শরীর এবং মন, এছাড়া আত্মা কোথায় আছে? বডি ইজ এ সিরিজ অফ চেঞ্জেস। একটা ফিজিক্যাল স্রোত বয়ে যাচ্ছে, তার নাম শরীর। একটা মানসিক স্রোত বয়ে যাচ্ছে, তার নাম হচ্ছে মন। এছাড়া আত্মা কোথায়? আর এর থেকে বিলক্ষণ একটা আলাদা ইন্ডিপেন্ডেন্ট আত্মা কোথায় আছে? তাকে তো প্রমাণিত করা যায় না। অতএব নৈরাত্ম্যবাদ। এখন এই নিয়ে যে সব আস্তিক দর্শন, তার সঙ্গে বৌদ্ধ দর্শনের প্রায় হাজার বছরের তর্ক বিতর্ক চলেছে। সেই ভগবান বুদ্ধের 100-200 বছরের পরের থেকে আরম্ভ হয়েছে, আর প্রায় 800-900 CE অব্দি চলেছে। এটা হয়েছে, ভালো হয়েছে। এটা লাভটা হলো যে ভারতীয় দর্শনের অদ্ভুত বিকাশ হয়েছে, এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি। ন্যায় দর্শনের যে উৎকর্ষ, সাংখ্য দর্শনের উৎকর্ষ, মীমাংসা দর্শনের উৎকর্ষ, পরবর্তীকালে বেদান্তের, আর বৌদ্ধ দর্শনের উৎকর্ষ, যেটা তার একটা প্রধান কারণ হয়েছে এই বাদ বিবাদের জন্য। বোথ সাইডস, দুদিকেই তারা দে হ্যাভ মেড ইট মোর প্রিসাইজ। একটা এক্সট্রাঅর্ডিনারি লিটারেচার হয়েছে। কিন্তু আমরা বিশেষ প্রশ্নটা এখানে হলো যে আমরা বেদান্তের দিক থেকে এটা কি করে বুঝবো? বেদান্তের দিক থেকে এখানে আমরা এটাই বলবো যে আমরা যে পঞ্চকোষ বলছি, বৌদ্ধদের, বিজ্ঞানবাদীদের বিজ্ঞান এর বাইরে নয়। ওরা, দ্য প্রিসাইজ আনসার এটা এখানেই হবে, যখন বৌদ্ধরা বলছে একটা বিজ্ঞানের স্রোত বয়ে যাচ্ছে, একটা স্ট্রিম অফ কনসিয়াসনেস বয়ে যাচ্ছে, এছাড়া কোনো আত্মা নেই, সেখানে আমরা বেদান্তীরা বলবো দে আর ফেলিং টু ডিস্টিংগুইশ বিটুইন কনসিয়াসনেস এন্ড মাইন্ড। চিত্ত বৃত্তির স্রোত বয়ে যাচ্ছে, নো ডাউট অ্যাবাউট ইট। একটার পর একটা বৃত্তি প্রচন্ড বেগে বয়ে যাচ্ছে, আর তার মধ্যে প্রতিফলিত চৈতন্য। তো সেটাকে বৌদ্ধরা বলছে বিজ্ঞান ধারা। বিজ্ঞান ধারা মানে কি? আমাদের দিক থেকে যদি আমরা অ্যানালাইজ করি, বেদান্ত এবং সাংখ্যর দিক থেকে অ্যানালাইজ করি, তাহলে আমরা বলবো যে তোমাদের বিজ্ঞান ধারার মধ্যে কিন্তু দুটো জিনিস আছে। একটা হচ্ছে চিত্তবৃত্তির ধারা, আর একটা হচ্ছে অখণ্ড চৈতন্য। অখণ্ড চৈতন্য সেই চিত্তবৃত্তির ধারার মধ্যে রিফ্লেক্টেড হয়ে প্রত্যেকটা যে বৃত্তি, অ্যাজ ইফ ইট ইজ স্পার্কলিং, চকচক করছে। তো সেই বৃত্তিগুলোকে দেখলে মনে হয় পরপর 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 চলে যাচ্ছে, আর ওইটুকু, এর বাইরে কিছু নেই। ডেভিড হিউম তিনি এক জায়গায় বলছেন যে when I reflect deeply within myself, I do not discern a self at all. All I see is a series of thoughts and perceptions and emotions. এই ভাষায় মোটামুটি বলেছেন। তো সেখানে আমরা সঙ্গে সঙ্গে সাংখ্যবাদী কিংবা বেদান্তীরা আমরা বলবো এই যে হিউম সাহেব দেখছেন একটা ধারা চলছে, চিন্তার, ইমোশনের, মেমোরিজ, এটাকে কে দেখছেন? যে আপনি বললেন আমি দেখছি, কে দেখছে সেটা? তো সেই যে একটা চৈতন্যতে এগুলো প্রকাশিত হচ্ছে। বিদ্যারণ্য স্বামী পঞ্চদশীর প্রথম অধ্যায়তে উনি পরিষ্কার সেখানে বলতেন শব্দ স্পর্শাদয় দৃশ্যাহ ভিদ্যতে, বলছেন যে শব্দ, স্পর্শ, দৃশ্য, তারপরে যে জিহ্বার যে রসনা ইন্দ্রিয়র যে বৃত্তি, পঞ্চ জ্ঞান ইন্দ্রিয়, সব রকম বৃত্তি হচ্ছে, মনের মধ্যে চিন্তা হচ্ছে, স্মৃতি হচ্ছে, অহংকার বৃত্তি উঠছে আর ডুবছে, এই এতগুলো বৃত্তি মনের মধ্যে চলছে পর 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 পর, এগুলো ভিদ্যতে, ভিদ্যতে মানে একটার থেকে আরেকটা আলাদা। একটা জিনিস শুনলাম, আরেকটা জিনিস শুনলাম, দুটো আলাদা। একটা জিনিস দেখলাম, আরেকটা জিনিস শুনলাম, এই দুটো বৃত্তি আলাদা, প্রত্যেকটা বৃত্তি আলাদা। কিন্তু এগুলোকে প্রকাশিত করছে যে চৈতন্য, সেটা কিন্তু এক, সেখানে কোনো ভেদ নেই। একটা চৈতন্য থেকে আরেকটা চৈতন্যের ভেদ কি করে করবে? যদি বৌদ্ধদের জিজ্ঞেস করা হয় এক চৈতন্য, এক বিজ্ঞান থেকে আরেক বিজ্ঞানের ভেদ কি করে হবে, তখন দেখা যাবে যে বিজ্ঞানের কন্টেন্টটাই আলাদা। একটা হচ্ছে আমার বইরূপী বিজ্ঞান হলো, আরেকটা আমার হয়তো একটা চাবিরূপী বিজ্ঞান হলো। তো চাবিরূপী বিজ্ঞান আর বইরূপী বিজ্ঞানের মধ্যে তফাৎটা কি হলো? তফাৎটা হচ্ছে যে বইটা আলাদা, চাবিটা আলাদা, আর তার বিজ্ঞানটা আলাদা হচ্ছে, কিন্তু তার মধ্যে যে এক চৈতন্য প্রকাশিত করছে। যেমন আমি যদি বলি এই আলো আছে, আলোতে আমি বইটা তুলে ধরলাম, আলোতে আমি চাবিটা তুলে ধরলাম, বইটা আলাদা আলাদা, চাবিটা আলাদা। বইয়ের উপরে যে আলোটা প্রকাশিত করছে, চাবিকে যে আলোটা প্রকাশিত করছে, তার মধ্যে কিন্তু ভেদ হলো না, আলোটা একই রয়ে গেল। তো সেই আলো এখন বৌদ্ধরা করছে কি, আলোটা পড়ছে বইয়ের উপরে, তো বইটা এবং তার উপরে যে প্রকাশিত যে রিফ্লেক্টেড আলোটা, এই দুটোকে মিশিয়ে তারা বলছে বিজ্ঞান। আর এই বিজ্ঞানটা তো পাল্টে যাচ্ছে, যেহেতু প্রত্যেকটা কন্টেন্ট পাল্টে যাচ্ছে। দ্য কন্টেন্ট অফ এক্সপিরিয়েন্স ইজ চেঞ্জিং, দি ইলিউমিনার, যে অনুভূতির যে প্রকাশক যে চৈতন্য, সেটা পাল্টাচ্ছে না। এটা আমাদের রেসপন্স হবে। আরেকটা একটু সূক্ষ্ম রেসপন্স, এর অনেকগুলো রেসপন্স আছে, আরেকটা সূক্ষ্ম রেসপন্স হচ্ছে যে আচ্ছা বৌদ্ধ বাবা, তুমি তো বলছো যে এক ক্ষণিক বিজ্ঞান, আরেক ক্ষণিক বিজ্ঞান, তারপরে তৃতীয় ক্ষণিক বিজ্ঞান, একটা পর একটা পর একটা আসছে, এই দুটোর মাঝখানে তো একটা গ্যাপ থাকবে। যদি গ্যাপ না থাকে তাহলে তোমাকে মানতে হবে যে এক কন্টিনিউয়াস বিজ্ঞান। যদি কন্টিনিউয়াস না হয় তাহলেই তো তুমি বলছো ক্ষণিক, সেপারেট, ডিসক্রিট। যদি ডিসক্রিট হয়, দুটোর মধ্যে গ্যাপ আছে, সেই গ্যাপটা আছে জানলে কি করে? যদি গ্যাপটা আছে তুমি জানতে পারছো, তাহলে সে যে জানছে সেটার মধ্যে কিন্তু গ্যাপ হয়নি। আমি বলছি যে একটা রেলগাড়ি যাচ্ছে, পরপর পরপর বগিগুলো যাচ্ছে, তার মাঝখানে 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 গ্যাপ আছে, আমি আলাদা বলে তার থেকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি, বগিগুলোকেও দেখছি, বগির মাঝখানে গ্যাপও দেখছি। বিজ্ঞানের ধারাও তুমি দেখছো, বিজ্ঞানের মাঝখানে সেপারেশন আছে, ক্ষণিক সেপারেশন আছে, সেটাও তুমি দেখছো। তাহলে যে দেখছে তার মধ্যে তো সেপারেশন হতে পারে না। যদি মাঝখানে চৈতন্যের গ্যাপ হয়ে যায়, সেই মাঝখানে তুমি বলতেই পারবে না কোনো গ্যাপ আছে বলে। চৈতন্যই তো প্রকাশিত করছে গ্যাপকে, একটা গ্যাপ আছে তুমি জানলে কি করে? তো এরকম অনেকগুলো রেসপন্স হতে পারে বিজ্ঞানবাদের। হ্যাঁ,
মহারাজ, ইউটিউব থেকে একটা প্রশ্ন এসছে, অন্তরা
হ্যাঁ।
চক্রবর্তী করেছেন, হাউ দ্য ফিয়ার অফ বিইং অ্যালোন ইন ফিউচার ক্যান বি ওভারকাম। ভবিষ্যতে একাকিত্বের সমস্যা থেকে কিভাবে মুক্তি পাওয়া যেতে পারে?
আমি একদম চরম অদ্বৈতবাদের দিক থেকে বলছি, লোনলিনেসের সমস্যা এটা বড় সমস্যা, আর ইন্ডিয়াতেও এখন বাড়ছে। এই দেশে তো মানে প্রখর ভাবে সেই সমস্যা আছে। এখানে মেটেরিয়াল সমস্যা কম, কিন্তু সেই লোনলিনেস, পারপাসলেসনেস, একটা মিনিংলেসনেস অফ লাইফ, এটা সমস্যা খুবই বেশি আছে। বিশেষ করে বয়স্ক যারা, আমি অনেক অনেক দেখেছি এখানে, একা থাকেন অনেক বয়স অব্দি, কেউ নেই, ছেলেমেয়েরা তো অনেক দিন চলে গেছে, আর বন্ধু বান্ধব কেউ নেই, রিলেটিভস কেউ নেই, সেই বুড়ো মানুষ কিংবা বৃদ্ধা সে একা থাকেন। তার লোনলিনেস একটা স্বাভাবিক বিশাল বড় একটা সমস্যা। অদ্বৈত বেদান্ত বলে যে, আচ্ছা আমি এক্সটার্নাল থেকে ইন্টারনালি ঢুকি, বহিরঙ্গ থেকে অন্তরঙ্গে ঢুকি। প্রথমে কর্মের দিক থেকে দেখি, আমার যদি কর্মযোগী আমার ভাব হয়, তাহলে আই এম নট ওয়ারিড সো মাচ অ্যাবাউট মাই সেলফ। লোকজন থাকলেও ভালো, লোকজন না থাকলেও ভালো, মাই অ্যাটিটিউড টুয়ার্ডস আদার্স ইজ আই ডোন্ট নিড দেম ফর মাই কোম্পানি। আমি কি করতে পারি তাদের জন্য, এটাই হচ্ছে আমার অ্যাটিটিউড। হোয়াট সার্ভিস ক্যান আই বি অফ। যদি কেউ নেই, যে আমি যদি একা, কেউ নেই, আমার কোনো ক্ষমতাই নেই কারোর জন্য কিছু করার, তাহলে আমি অন্তত অন্যদের জন্য মঙ্গল চিন্তা তো করতে পারি, ঈশ্বরের কাছে প্রার্থনা করতে পারি যে মানুষের ভালো হোক। এই প্রার্থনাটা করলে আমার কিন্তু লোনলিনেস হবে না। দ্বিতীয়, ভক্তির দিক থেকে দেখি, আমি কখনোই লোনলি নই। যার ভগবানে বিশ্বাস আছে, যার ভগবানের শ্রদ্ধা আছে, সে কোনোদিন লোনলি হবে না। তার তো সারাক্ষণ চিরসাধী তার সঙ্গে আছে। যে একটা খুব সুন্দর গল্প আছে, যে একজন সবসময় দেখতো যে আমি হেঁটে যাচ্ছি, আমার পাশে পাশে আরেকটি পায়ের চিহ্ন পড়ছে,
মানে আমার পায়ের চিহ্ন আছে, আরেকজনকার পায়ের চিহ্ন, মানে ভগবান আমার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে হাঁটছেন। তো একবার দেখলো যখন খুব দিনকাল খারাপ এলো, শুধু নিজের পায়ের চিহ্নটাই আছে, মানে একটা পায়ের চিহ্ন পড়ছে আর কি একজনকার, আর সেই দ্বিতীয়টা নেই আর পায়ের চিহ্ন। তখন সে প্রার্থনা করছে ভগবানের কাছে যে আচ্ছা, এতদিন তুমি আমার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে হাঁটছিলে, তোমাকে দেখতে পাচ্ছি না বটে, তোমার পায়ের পদচিহ্ন দেখছি, এখন যখন আমার দুঃখের দিন এসছে, আমি তো একটাই পদচিহ্ন দেখছি, আর তো দ্বিতীয় দেখছি না। তখন ভগবান জবাব দিচ্ছেন, এটা একটা কল্পনার মাধ্যমে, যে উনি বলছেন যে যতদিন তোমার সুদিন ছিল তোমার সঙ্গে সঙ্গে আমি হেঁটেছি, যখন তোমার দুর্দিন তখন আমি তোমাকে কোলে করে নিয়ে হাঁটছি। তো যে পদচিহ্ন তুমি দেখছো সেটা কিন্তু আমারই পদচিহ্ন, তোমার নয়। তো ভগবান চিরসাথী, তার কোনোদিন লোনলিনেস হবে না। যে ভক্ত, সে কোনোদিন এটা কমপ্লেন করবে না যে আমি লোনলি, সবসময় আমার প্রভু তো আমার সঙ্গে আছেন। তৃতীয়, এই যে লোনলিনেস, এটাও কিন্তু একটা মনের বৃত্তি। আচ্ছা, যখন ধ্যানের মধ্যে কিংবা দিনের বেলায় সারাক্ষণ কি মনে হচ্ছে আমি লোনলি? মাঝে মাঝে মনে হচ্ছে, যখন কথাটা মনে হয় যে আর তো কেউ নেই, তখন আমার মনে হচ্ছে লোনলি। সবসময় মনে হয় না। লোনলিনেসও একটা মনের বৃত্তি। ধ্যানের গভীরতাতে সব মনের বৃত্তি শান্ত হয়ে যায়। যোগ চিত্তবৃত্তি নিরোধ হয়, লোনলিনেস বৃত্তিও শান্ত হয়ে যায়। গভীর ধ্যানে কোনো লোনলিনেস নেই, সেখানে এক আছে। যে পাতঞ্জল যোগে বলে হোয়াট ইজ দ্য গোল, কৈবল্য। কৈবল্য কিন্তু মানে হচ্ছে এক, কেবল। কিন্তু সেই অ্যালোননেস এন্ড লোনলিনেস আর নট দ্য সেম। একজন বড় খ্রিস্টান মিস্টিক বলেছেন, স্পিরিচুয়ালিটি কি? ইট ইজ দ্য ফ্লাইট অফ দি অ্যালোন টু দি অ্যালোন, স্মল এ অ্যালোন টু দি ক্যাপিটাল এ অ্যালোন, ফ্লাইট অফ দি অ্যালোন টু দি অ্যালোন। যে ক্ষুদ্র একক সেই মহৎ এককের দিকে উড়ে চলেছে, এটাই হচ্ছে স্পিরিচুয়ালিটি। অ্যালোননেস ইজ নট লোনলিনেস। আর চতুর্থ, সবচেয়ে গভীর, লোনলি কেন হবে? একা তো আমি সবসময় আছি, তুমি তো একম অদ্বিতীয়ম। ভাবো দ্বিতীয় কোথায় আছে? আমার মনে হচ্ছে দ্বিতীয়, সে দ্বিতীয় যে আমি বলছি, কেউ যদি বলে কেন আপনি দেখতে পাচ্ছেন না এখানে 140 জন আর অন্যজন আছে, এই কম্পিউটার বলছে, কিন্তু 140 জন সবাই তো আছে আমার চৈতন্যের মধ্যে। চৈতন্য তো এক। আমি যদি নিজেকে চেতন বলে মনে করি, আমি কনসিয়াসনেস বলে মনে করি, তাহলে সবকিছুই যায় আমি অনুভূতি করছি, সবই সেই কনসিয়াসনেস এর মধ্যে। এর বাইরে কে আছে? এর বাইরে কোথায় আছে? গীতাতে শ্রীকৃষ্ণ বলছেন ত্রয়োদশ অধ্যায়তে, ক্ষেত্রজ্ঞম চাপি মাম বিদ্ধি সর্বক্ষেত্রেষু ভারত। কি অদ্ভুত কথা! এই সব শরীরের মধ্যে আমরা মনে করি হাজার হাজার লক্ষ লক্ষ শরীর, কোটি কোটি শরীর, তার মধ্যে হয়তো কোটি কোটি জন মানুষ আছেন। না, কৃষ্ণ শ্রীকৃষ্ণ বলছেন সাবজেক্ট, ক্যাপিটাল এর সাবজেক্ট একজনই, ক্ষেত্রজ্ঞম মাম বিদ্ধি, আমাকেই এক জানবে যে আমি এক চেতন, এই সর্বভূতে আমি সর্বব্যাপী হয়ে আছি। আই এম দি ওয়ান নোয়ার ইন অল দিস ফিল্ডস, ইন অল দিস বডিজ। তো সেই অর্থে দেখতে গেলে লোনলি নয়, একক আমরা সবসময় আছি, অল দ্য টাইম। দ্যাট ইজ দি আলটিমেট রিয়ালিটি, একম এবা অদ্বিতীয়ম। যেই আমি দ্বিতীয়কে চাইবো, সংসার শুরু হয়ে যাবে।
Maharaj, one question has been asked by multiple participants that whether Turiya and consciousness is same or not.
ইয়েস, তুরীয় কনসিয়াসনেস একই। তুরীয় একটা সংস্কৃত শব্দ, এর মানে কিন্তু হচ্ছে খুব সিম্পলি, তুরীয় মানে চতুর্থ, ফোর। 1 2 3 4, ফোরটাকে তুরীয় বলে। ফোর ফোর মানে কি তাহলে? এই যে আমরা জাগ্রত অবস্থায় জগৎকে দেখছি, এটাকে বলো ওয়ান, রোল নাম্বার ওয়ান। স্বপ্নতে আপনি স্বপ্নের জগৎ দেখছি, তাকে বলো রোল নাম্বার টু। গভীর নিদ্রাতে, সুষুপ্তিতে কিছুই দেখছি না, ব্ল্যাঙ্ক, তাকে বলো রোল নাম্বার থ্রি। ওয়েকার, ড্রিমার, ডিপ স্লিপার, রোল নাম্বার 1 2 3। এবার এই তিনটে কিন্তু আমরা জানি, এই তিনটে আমাদের প্রতিদিনের অভিজ্ঞতা। আমি জেগে আছি, আমি স্বপ্ন দেখি এবং গভীর নিদ্রাতে আছি। এবার বেদান্ত কি বলছে? বেদান্ত বলছে তোমার আসল স্বরূপ কিন্তু যে ওয়েকার সে নয়, ড্রিমার সে নয়, ডিপ স্লিপার সে নয়, এক চৈতন্য এই তিনটে রূপে দেখা দিচ্ছে। ফোর্থ, তুরীয়, জাগ্রতের দ্রষ্টা, স্বপ্নের দ্রষ্টা আর সুষুপ্তির দ্রষ্টা, তিনটে কিন্তু আলাদা নয়, তিনটে আমি নই, এই তিনটের পেছনে এক চৈতন্য, অভিন্ন চৈতন্য আছে, যাকে চতুর্থ বলে বলা হচ্ছে। আর এই নট দ্যাট দেয়ার আর ফোর কনসিয়াসনেসেস, এই তিনটে হচ্ছে অ্যাপিয়ারেন্স। আর এই তুরীয় যেটা চতুর্থ আমি বলছি, চতুর্থ জাস্ট বাই ওয়ে অফ কনভেনশন বলা হচ্ছে, অ্যাজ আ প্লেস হোল্ডার বলা হচ্ছে ফোর্থ, কিন্তু সেই ফোর্থটা অ্যাকচুয়ালি ইজ দ্য ওয়ান। একটাই আছে, সেই ফোর্থটাই হচ্ছে একমাত্র আছে। শঙ্করাচার্য তার মান্ডুক্যকারিকা ভাষ্যতে প্রথমে একটা শব্দ, একটা ফ্রেজ ব্যবহার করছেন, মায়া সংখ্যা তুরীয়ম। মায়াতে যদি আমি গুনি 1 2 3, তাহলে কিন্তু সেই আত্মা চৈতন্য সেটাকে 4 বলতে হবে। কিন্তু এটা মায়াতে গোনা হচ্ছে, সত্যিকারের গোনা নয়। সত্যিকারে গুনতে গেলে ওই একটাই আছে। আমি যদি গুনি যে হার আছে, বালা আছে এবং দুল, কানের কুণ্ডল, দুল আছে এবং সোনা আছে, তাহলে হার, বালা, কুণ্ডল এবং সোনা, এটা কি 4টে হলো? না, সোনাটাই একমাত্র আছে। সেটা আমাকে হার রূপে আমি দেখছি, বালা রূপে দেখছি, কুণ্ডল রূপে দেখছি। তিনটে অর্নামেন্ট, fourth is the gold. Gold is actually not the fourth. Gold is the one reality of the three. সেরকমই existence is the one reality of the entire universe. Consciousness is the one reality of all our experience. Okay, fourth বলা হচ্ছে just as a way of teaching it. কিন্তু ওই তুরীয়টাই হচ্ছে একমাত্র সত্য, ওইটাই আত্মা, ওইটাই চৈতন্য।
প্রচুর প্রশ্ন এখনো আছে, সময়ের অভাবে সব যাবে না।
মহারাজ একটা প্রশ্ন একটু রাখছি। রফিকুল শেখ প্রশ্ন করছেন, মহারাজ,
হ্যাঁ,
আত্মা এবং মন কি একই জিনিস?
না,
কোনটাকে কন্ট্রোল করা তুলনামূলক সহজ?
আত্মা, ভালো প্রশ্ন। আত্মা আর মন এক জিনিস নয়। যখন আমরা মন আর আত্মা দুটো শব্দ ব্যবহার করছি, যে তখন যে অনুভব করছে সেই হচ্ছে আমার আসল স্বরূপ। আত্মা মানে আমি, আর কিছু না, আমার আসল স্বরূপ। তো আমার আসল স্বরূপ হচ্ছে যে অনুভব করছে, দ্রষ্টা। মনকে তো আমি অনুভব করতে পারি, ইটস অ্যান অবজেক্ট। মনের মধ্যে সুখ দুঃখ, জ্ঞান অজ্ঞান, স্মৃতি এবং স্মৃতির লোপ, এসব হচ্ছে তো। সব আমি মনে করতে পারি, মনে করতে পারি না, বুঝতে পারি, বুঝতে পারি না, ভালো লাগছে, ভালো লাগছে না, সব হচ্ছে মনের মধ্যে। আর এই সবগুলোকে আমি জানতে পারছি। যেটা জানছে সেটাই হচ্ছে আত্মা, আর সেটাই হচ্ছে আমি, আসল আমি। আর মনটা হচ্ছে একটা ইনস্ট্রুমেন্ট আমার জন্য। আমাদের মুশকিল হয়ে যায় কি, আমরা আমি ভাবি আমি মনের থেকে আমি নিজেকে তফাৎ করতে পারি না। তাই জন্য মনের মধ্যে যে ঢেউ খেলে যায়, তাতে আমি সেই উথল পুথল হই। আমি কখনো উপরে উঠছি, কখনো পড়ছি, কখনো ভালো, কখনো খারাপ, এগুলো সব মনের মধ্যে ভালো খারাপ। ওই যে এক কথা যে সাধুটি বলেছিল যে আমার মনে হচ্ছে সংসারের জন্য আমার মন অশান্ত, কিন্তু অশান্ত মনের জন্যই সংসার। এই কথাটা, আমি মন নই, এই একটা বড় কথা। এবার কন্ট্রোলের ব্যাপারে এলে, আত্মাকে কন্ট্রোল করা যায় না। আত্মা তো কন্ট্রোলের দরকারও নেই, করাও যায় না, করা উচিত নয়। যে আত্মান need not be controlled, আত্মান cannot be controlled, should not be controlled, and need not be controlled. আত্মা তো একটা হোমোজেনাস কনসিয়াসনেস, সেখানে কোনো উপদ্রব নেই, কোনো দুঃখ নেই, কষ্ট নেই, সে চিরকাল আছে তেমনই। কন্ট্রোল করা যায় মনকে, কন্ট্রোল করা যায় ইন্দ্রিয়কে, কন্ট্রোল করা যায় শরীরকে, এবং শরীর ইন্দ্রিয় দিয়ে জগৎকে কন্ট্রোল করা যায়।
মহারাজ, আজকে শেষ প্রশ্ন নিচ্ছি। ডক্টর সন্দীপন কর্মকার করছেন, হাউ টু গেট রিড অফ এক্সপেকটেশনস অফ এনিবডি। উনি লিখছেন, আই টিচ অ্যাট জেভিয়ার ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ম্যানেজমেন্ট, ভুবনেশ্বর। I find my students are not at all interested in learning. They are interested in CV points. I get very disturbed seeing this attitude of students. Main প্রশ্নটা হচ্ছে, how to get rid of expectations of anybody.
ও কি নাম বললেন প্রফেসর?
ডক্টর সন্দীপন কর্মকার।
সন্দীপন কর্মর, এক্সআইএমবি তো, সেখানে তো আমি তো ওখানকার এক স্টুডেন্ট। So students are not at all interested in learning, but they are interested only in keys.
They are interested in CV points. কারিকুলাম ভাইটা কিনা আমি বুঝলাম না, সিভি লিখেছেন উনি ক্যাপিটালে, সিভি।
S
CV.
Oh, CV. Acha, curriculum bit, yes, C or V. Right. Naturally. Yes. So the question was that they are not interested in learning. On our main প্রশ্নটা কি ছিল?
How to get rid of expectations of anybody.
Right. So two things. One is that it is in my action, in my service, that I get my fulfillment. Let me answer this in English. Others might be interested. How do I get rid of expectations from about others? So it is in my action that as a service I am teaching. This is something that I'm providing to you um, for your benefit. This is my offering to you. I don't want anything back from you. If this is my attitude, not only to the students, not only to family members, to society in general, you will get what you deserve. No doubt about it. Don't be afraid. We do not get things because we expect them. We get things because we deserve them. We do not get things because we do not deserve them. That's it. So our expectation really only creates trouble. It does not really add anything to us. So can we look at our teaching as our offering to the students? Then we will not be disappointed. Let the students take it in whatever way they will. Second, one little thing I have understood about students and about others also. How do you make it palatable and interesting to them? Can you connect it with their immediate career goals? One thing is that if the student feels it is a benefit to me, then the student will be interested. If you are telling me something which is of immediate benefit to me, I will listen. With all ears, I will listen to what you are saying. If I feel it's very theoretical, it has no relation to my life, I will not listen. Now, what you are teaching actually has relation to the student's future professional and personal life. I remember one of the first classes I attended at XIMB Bhubaneswar. Our professor, he was teaching us communications, Father Freddy, and how to communicate with others. And he told us that I know, we are all young MBA students, I know you are all interested in marketing and finance and all of the glamorous advertising, glamorous subjects. You're thinking, what is this old man teaching communications? But as you go through life, you will see everything is about communication. How you communicate your ideas to others and how you communicate the situation of life to yourself, within yourself, how you are communicating. Entirety, the quality of your life will depend upon communication. আর এই কথাটা কিন্তু এত সত্য, আমি আজ 20 বছর পরে I'm sure আমার সঙ্গে যারা ছেলেমেয়েরা পড়ছিল সবাই নিজের জীবনে যে মনে রেখেছে কথাটা, সে দেখবে মিলিয়ে দেখবে যে আমার এক্সামে প্রাপ্ত ফাইন্যান্সের বিদ্যা আর মার্কেটিং এর বিদ্যা কতটা কাজে দিল আর এই কমিউনিকেশনের বিদ্যাটা কত কাজে দিয়েছে. So relation to life. And there was one more thing that I wanted to say is, they should feel not only that how is it useful to me in life, but how interesting it is. I've often seen teachers can communicate through their enthusiasm. If you love your subject, the tone of your voice, your body language, the shining in your eyes when you talk about your favorite subject, that will create enthusiasm. I have seen in school, in college, in exam, wherever. And after that, for example, last year I spent, as I was telling, about several months at Harvard. Not only I was studying there, but one thing I did was I would go to the classes of the best teachers at Harvard. And one thing I noted was a teaching strategy. কেন এরা এত সাকসেসফুল টিচার? একজন ওখানে গ্র্যাজুয়েট ক্লাস হার্ভার্ডে, টিপিক্যাল ক্লাস সাইজ 15-20 জন বসে থাকে। আবার আরেকজন প্রফেসর স্টিভেন পিঙ্কার, I went to his class, he's a world renowned psychologist. যেখানে টিপিক্যাল গ্র্যাজুয়েট ক্লাস সাইজ হচ্ছে 15-20, ওনার ক্লাসে 400 জন বসে আছে, 400 people. What makes the difference? আমি প্রফেসর অমর্ত্য সেন এখনো ওখানে পড়ান, ওনার ক্লাসে গিয়ে বসতাম আমি ওনাকে বললাম আপনার ক্লাসে আমি বসবো, so he gave permission. He is teaching ethics, philosophy there. So what is the আমি ভেবেছিলাম ওনার বয়স হয়ে গেছে, ক্লাসটা হয়তো ইন্টারেস্টিং হবে না। It was very interesting. আর এখন বোঝা যায় যে ওনার এখন 80+ বয়স, 20 বছর আগে কিরকম তার পড়ানোর কৌশল, তার কত চার্ম এন্ড পার্সোনালিটি ছিল, যার জন্য ক্লাসগুলো এত ইন্টারেস্টিং। এখন এট দিস এজ পাশে বসতে হয় যাতে শুনতে পারে ভালো করে, কিন্তু সো হিজ ক্লাস, আরো এরকম 2-3 জন ক্লাসে আমি গিয়ে বসেছি হার্ভার্ড ইউনিভার্সিটির মতন জায়গায়। সে ছাত্ররা এসেছে, কে কার্পেটে বসে আছে, কে জানলার লেজের উপরে বসে আছে, কে টেবিলের উপরে বসে আছে, জায়গা নেই, প্রফেসর পড়াচ্ছেন। সো ওয়াই ইজ দিস মেকিং এ ডিফারেন্স? যে কারুর ক্লাসটা এখানে তো, ওখানে তো সবাই হাইলি কোয়ালিফাইড, সবাই ভালো, কিন্তু কারুর ক্লাসটা বেশি ভালো, কারুর অতটা নয়। কারুর ক্লাসটা প্রচন্ড অ্যাট্রাকটিভ। প্রফেসর কর্নেল ওয়েস্ট ওখানে আফ্রিকান আমেরিকান প্রফেসর আছেন, তার ক্লাসে আমি গেছি। তো ক্লাস মানে সে একদম থিয়েট্রিক্যাল পারফরমেন্স মনে হচ্ছে, কি এনার্জি তার, সে বয়সে এত বয়স্ক মানুষ, সে ছুটে বেড়াচ্ছেন স্টেজে, হাত পা ছুড়ে পড়াচ্ছেন, সে মনে হচ্ছে একটা একটা পারফরমেন্স দিচ্ছেন বলে। তার কি প্যাশন পড়াবার জন্য। তো এইটা আমার দ্বিতীয় কথা, যে ইফ আই এম বাবলিং উইথ এনথুজিয়াজম ফর মাই সাবজেক্ট, ইট উইল ক্যাপচার দি অ্যাটেনশন অফ দ্য স্টুডেন্টস। তো এই দুটো জিনিস, একটা হচ্ছে যে দ্য ইন্টারেস্ট অফ দ্য স্টুডেন্ট, তাদের নিজেদের পার্সোনাল লাইফে এটা কি কাজে লাগবে, as soon as possible এটা এটা দেখাতে হবে, it is useful to you. Second, it is very fascinating, it is extraordinarily interesting, this subject. এই ভাবটা যদি আপনি দিতে পারেন, your class will be very popular. I'm glad to see a faculty member from XIM. Please accept my namaskars.
মহারাজ প্রণাম। আমি কোয়েশ্চেনটা করেছিলাম, আমি প্রফেসর সন্দীপন কর্মকার। আমি
নমস্কার।
হ্যাঁ, আমি জাস্ট বাইরে গেছিলাম, সেই জন্য আমাকে হ্যাঁ, তো থ্যাংক ইউ মহারাজ, মানে অনেক অনেক ধন্যবাদ এই কোয়েশ্চেনটা নেওয়ার জন্য। তো এটা আমি মানে খুবই ফিল করি যে ম্যানেজমেন্ট স্টুডেন্টস, দে আর মাচ মোর মানে অ্যাপ্লিকেশন ওরিয়েন্টেড কাইন্ড অফ। তো আমি স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স পড়াই, তো স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স তো বোঝেনি যে এটা কিরকম ড্রাই সাবজেক্ট। তো সেইটাই আর কি, মানে যদিও ফাউন্ডেশন বিল্ড আপ করে,
it's difficult, প্রথম
ইটস
দিকে
ডিফিকাল্ট টু আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড, বাট সেই জন্যই হয়তো মানে, আর এমনও হয়েছে যে এর কোনো প্র্যাকটিক্যাল অ্যাপ্লিকেশন নেই, হয়তো স্যাম্পলিং থিওরি, কি প্র্যাকটিক্যাল অ্যাপ্লিকেশন মানে নিয়ে আসা যাবে, এই ধরনের আর কি প্রবলেম আমি ফেস করি আর কি। সেই জন্যই
দুটো জিনিস, ওটা কিভাবে কাজে লাগতে পারে ওটাকে বলা নয়, শোজ ইউ দ্যাট, ফর এক্সাম্পল আমি তো এখন এখানে দেখি যে কোনো আর্গুমেন্ট in any subject, when you start arguing and facts and figures on opinion poll ei hoyeche latest ei survey ei bole oi survey ei bole ei study etar bolche, when you give facts and figures, that's the easiest way to win an argument. এই আমার কাছে একটা বই আছে, এটা দেখবেন, প্রচন্ড ইন্টারেস্টিং বই, এটা পুরোটাই কিন্তু স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স এর উপরে দেখাচ্ছে। এই বইটা How Not to Be Wrong, The Power of Mathematical Thinking, ম্যাথমেটিক্যাল থিংকিং থেকে বেশি স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্যাল থিংকিং এ আছে। তো এটা করেছেন কি ভদ্রলোক, ওই স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্স কি পপুলারাইজ করার জন্য এই একটার পর একটা সমস্যা নিচ্ছেন আর তাকে দেখাচ্ছেন কিভাবে ইট ক্যান বি সলভ থ্রু স্ট্যাটিস্টিক্যাল থিংকিং। আর প্রচন্ড বেস্ট সেলার এখানে। দ্যাটস দ্য ওয়ে টু ডু ইট।
মহারাজ,
communicate your own enthusiasm for it.
মহারাজ, প্রফেসর রামানার সাথে আজ কথা হচ্ছিল, আপনার নিশ্চয়ই মনে আছে প্রফেসর রামানা?
প্রফেসর রামানা আমাকে পড়িয়েছেন।
উনি জাস্ট বললেন যে তুমি শোনো, ওনার লেকচার শোনো। আমি বলছি আমি তো অনেকদিন থেকেই শুনি ওনার লেকচার, আমি জাস্ট আপনাকে বললাম আর কি। প্রফেসর রামানা বললেন হ্যাঁ আমার কাছেও এসছে। হ্যাঁ স্যার, হ্যাঁ মহারাজ, সবাইকে বলবো, আমি সবাইকে বলবো এখানের যে আমার
এখন তো নাও ইট ইজ জেভিয়ার ইউনিভার্সিটি, রাইট?
হ্যাঁ, জেভিয়ার ইউনিভার্সিটি থেকে এখন এক্সআইএম ইউনিভার্সিটি হয়েছে রিসেন্টলি। আর আমাদের জেভিয়ার ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ম্যানেজমেন্ট ভুবনেশ্বর যেটা নামটা ছিল, সেটা জেভিয়ার ইনস্টিটিউট অফ ম্যানেজমেন্ট অনলি এখন। রাইট, আর কি নামটা চেঞ্জ হয়েছে মহারাজ। তো নাম চেঞ্জ হলে কি আছে, জিনিসটা তো সেমই, ওই আর কি।
Let me tell you something, because I studied management there. আমার মনের মধ্যে ছিল যখন হার্ভার্ডে গেছি, মনে হচ্ছিল that I should visit Harvard Business School. এটা একদম সেই প্রাচীন ম্যানেজমেন্ট স্কুল, এটা একবার দেখা উচিত আমার মনে হলো। আমাকে খুব সুন্দর অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট দিয়েছিল থাকার জন্য চার্লস রিভারের ওখানে। প্রতিদিন যখন জানলাটা খুলতাম সকালবেলা আর 20th ফ্লোরে অ্যাক্রস দ্য চার্লস রিভার ওই হার্ভার্ড বিজনেস স্কুলই আছে। আমি জানতাম না এটা হার্ভার্ড বিজনেস স্কুল বলে। আমি খুলে প্রতিদিন দেখছি, প্রতিদিন আমি ভাবতাম একদিন আমাকে হার্ভার্ড বিজনেস স্কুল দেখতে হবে। একদিন ওই নদী পার হয়ে গেলাম, হাঁটতে হাঁটতে জিজ্ঞেস করলাম এটা কি, বলে এটা তো হার্ভার্ড বিজনেস স্কুল। তো বললাম ও দেখুন এটা হাউ বেদান্তিক ইট ইজ, প্রতিদিন আমরা দেখছি
প্রতিদিন
আর
দেখছি,
চিনতে পারছি না
চিনতে পারছি না।
যে ও এইটাই হচ্ছে হার্ভার্ড বিজনেস স্কুল। ঠিক তেমনই মনে হলো এটা হচ্ছে ক্লাসিক বেদান্তিক এক্সাম্পল।
হ্যাঁ,
আমাদের যে আসল স্বরূপ,
হ্যাঁ,
আত্মা চৈতন্য যাই বলুন, ইট ইজ কন্টিনিউয়াসলি প্রেজেন্ট, উই ডোন্ট রেকগনাইজ ইট। আমরা বুঝতে পারছি না জিনিসটা কি। এটা সেই ঠাকুরের যে মানুষটা একটা হিরে পেয়েছিল কিন্তু সে ওয়াশারম্যান, সে
হ্যাঁ,
কাপড় পরিষ্কার করতো ওইটা দিয়ে, তারপরে বেগুনওয়ালার কাছে গেল, তারপরে এই করতে করতে যে জহুরির কাছে যেতে সে বললো এটা হচ্ছে হিরে, তার সব সেই টাকা দিয়ে তার সব সমস্যা মিটে গেল। আমাদের একই অবস্থা, যে আমরা সারাক্ষণ দেখছি জিনিসটাকে কিন্তু চিনতে পারছি না।
নমস্কার
ভেরি
মহারাজ।
গুড।
হ্যাঁ,
আমরা ক্ষমা প্রার্থী, সময়ের অভাবে অনুষ্ঠান এখানেই শেষ করতে হচ্ছে। প্রচুর
হ্যাঁ।
প্রশ্ন এখনো আছে এবং আমরা ভবিষ্যতেও মহারাজকে ডাকবো কলেজের অনুষ্ঠানে এবং প্রাক্তনী অ্যাসোসিয়েশনের অনুষ্ঠানে। আপনারা কাইন্ডলি টু আর ফ্রেন্ড সকার প্রতি এই চ্যানেলটি সাবস্ক্রাইব করবেন, তাহলে ভবিষ্যতে এখানে অনেক অনুষ্ঠান দেখতে পাবেন। এখন আনুষ্ঠানিক ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপনের পালা। আমি আমাদের কলেজের সিনিয়র মোস্ট ফ্যাকাল্টি ডক্টর গৌতম বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়কে ধন্যবাদ জ্ঞাপনের জন্য অনুরোধ করছি। ডক্টর বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায় একজন আমাদের প্রাক্তনীয় বটে, এখান থেকে উনি ডক্টরেট করেছেন। ডক্টর বন্দ্যোপাধ্যায়, ওভার টু ইউ।
মহারাজ নমস্কার। Am I audible?
নমস্কার গৌতম বাবু।
নমস্কার মহারাজ। This evening webinar today is almost at its conclusion. Shikshan Mandira Praktani Association in collaboration with Ramakrishna Mission Shikshana Mandira Belur Math has presented this webinar on peace of mind through Vedantic inquiry. Speaker revered Swami Sarvopriyanandaji Maharaj, Minister in charge Vedanta Society of New York and ex-principal of Ramakrishna Mission Shikshana Mandira. Only the last part of these words coinage, I mean ex-principal of Ramakrishna Mission Shikshana Mandira, this make me a bit courageous, and that is why I want to say very brief remark. I am fortunate enough to be associated with respected Maharaj for few years during my service tenure. When any reference of Swami Sarvopriyanandaji comes till date, we, the family members of Shikshana Mandira, become absorbed into a feel-good nostalgia. Now comes the day's topic. I dared not say, practically I haven't the ability to speak that. I have understood thoroughly what respected Maharaj has illustrated. But the language he uses and is accustomed to use, like all excellent orators, creates an aesthetic enchantment, a spirit of feeling good among his listeners. With this same aesthetic enchantment today that we feel, we convey our deep gratitude and respect to revered Swami Sarvopriyanandaji Maharaj. I also convey my regards to our principal Swami Dibbogunanandaji Maharaj, Vice Principal Vidyamritanandaji Maharaj, our Controller of Examination Swami Urjitanandaji Maharaj, all our employees and students who are directly or indirectly associated with this program. Now, I want to conclude my vote of thanks. Good night to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bantoppadhyay. Before ending, we offer our sincere thanks and respectful pranams to Revered Maharaj once again. We pray to the Divine Trio. May their blessings shower on all of us. Take care, stay safe. Have a good day to all our fellow brothers and sisters of America. And good night to all our Indian devotees of Sisti Thakur. Sri Sharadar Pranamastu, dedicated to Holy Mother Sharada Devi.
প্রণাম প্রণাম মহারাজ,
ভালো থাকবেন সবাই, ভালো থাকবেন।
নমস্কার মহারাজ।
নমস্কার।
স্যার ভালো আছেন? তুহিন স্যার ভালো আছেন?